broken down with notes and next step. But if we can get that quantitative information from our contractor,
Oh.
That's awesome. Hey.
Approved.
Good.
Front row's back. Yeah, I don't know that they would be more than 10. Three. Yeah, something. Whatever they wanna do.
Yes. It's the math.
Yeah, something. But, I think at least. Yeah. And I was trying to tell
I always forget that that one's over there. Yeah. Wow, it's warm in here.
Okay.
Better speed up chapter 1.
Yeah, Tina, have you ever heard of
You bring in another?
It's a musical.
Very clusters. Very clusters.
I don't got it. Library. It's about wood.
Those are so good. My daughter, the whole.
Yeah. That's, Mrs. Whalen and Miss Paul.
And she was.
My daughter hears it.
That.
Yeah, and I wonder
You're
this.
sweating.
Gross. Just slow for a little bit.
Okay, is everybody back and ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then at this point, we're back from break. We're now in the regular school board meeting, agenda item number 6. Everything is open, public notice was given. Notice was given, thank you. Now we move into the board reorganization portion of the meeting. Each year, the board is required to reorganize and elect officers for the board. We will start with nominations for president, and I would entertain any
Nominations.
nominations, thank you, at this time.
I'll nominate Matt McNulty for president.
I'll second.
And if the board wants to do seconds, you can, it's not required.
Oh,
not
sorry, so used to seconding this.
It is not required. Are there any other nominations? If not, in this case, I would ask if the board would be willing to do it by vocal rather than secret ballot, since there is only one name on the nomination. Is everyone in agreement with that?
Yes.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. At this point, Mr. McNulty takes over as president.
Oh boy. Where are we? No, I'm joking. So let's see here, let's keep going with these. We'll start with vice president. Looking for any nominations for vice president.
I would nominate Chris Hagler.
Just gonna do that.
Do we wanna write it down, or do we wanna just proceed?
I'd say we proceed unless we get two for any position.
I'm the same. As long as there's one, I'm fine with the vocal.
Perfect. All
Sounds
in favor?
Aye. Oh,
Aye.
what? Yeah.
Nice.
Aye.
Oh, you last 2 years ago?
All right, next up, we will go with treasurer. I will nominate Schwab.
Same.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And lastly, clerk.
I would nominate Chris Evans. Wonderful job last time, Chris.
Used to, I think.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, aye. I mean, there's no one else. Yes, I'm back to nothing again.
Oh, no.
Sorry, guys.
All right, now we'll move forward with appointment of committees. I think it just makes sense to replace myself with Adsit, keep Schwab and Morgan together on the finance, and Chris Haglund and Chris Adsit on PPC.
It's good with me.
I don't think we need an eye for that, right? That's just,
President's appointment.
okay.
And the lead for the committees.
Do I have what?
The lead for the committees. Chair.
Do I need to appoint that, or can you
Yes.
guys work that out?
Usually it's appointed, it's designated by the president.
Okay, in my opinion, let's just keep it as is then. Haglund for PCC and Schwab for finance.
Except
All right, next, we need the appointment of the CISA 1 delegate. Haglund, you've been doing such a great job here for the last couple of years. Would you like to maintain that?
If anybody else wants to do it, I'm more than willing to give it up. It is on 6/9 for the initial appointment, if that's something anybody's looking for. It is a Tuesday,
June 9th.
June 9th. If not, I can do it.
Is anyone else interested?
I don't know what it is, but no thank you.
It's basically, you do better.
You're doing great.
All right, Haglund, I appreciate you. If anything changes before time, let us know.
Sounds good.
All right, up next, public comments. I don't have that whole spiel that you read and I don't know it.
Did everyone have a chance that we need to speak?
Keep it to 3 minutes if you can, and we can't respond. That's just good.
Just a second, if you like.
Create a special spot.
If you pull up on the agenda,
Oh, I see that.
there's that.
You don't have to read, you can give me
Yeah,
high level if you want.
I recognize.
Please do.
Ms. Woolrich?
I don't know if I should come up here.
Great.
Sorry. All right, so dear school board members, I am a parent within the district and express great concern for this proposal increased tuition for Lakeside Academy wraparound care. I understand the reasoning behind the potential increase for the portion of Lakeside Academy daycare, but not for wraparound care. To go from $10 to $12 a year for one session of wraparound care, then go from $12 to $15 the next year. That's a 20% and 25% increase. And now Lakeside Academy wants to increase another 12%. And then 4K to go from $20 to $22 to $25 for half days with another 12% increase. This is a large expense when a child is in school. These continued increases are unsettling and very difficult, especially when there is no funding assistance. To pay over $1,200 a month for 2 children in school is gut-wrenching, making today's financial burden and time apart as a family due to working more difficult in so many ways. Sorry. I hope as a school board member and possibly a parent with young children in today's world, you'll consider this financial impact for your district's families. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cole?
Hi everybody, I'm Lauren Kolb. If you don't already know me, I'm a first grade teacher at North. I have 3 kids in the district, 2 at the middle school, and now I have a 1-year-old at Lakeside Academy. And I'm here to voice my concerns regarding the proposed daycare tuition increase and to urge the board to consider a gradual multi-year rollout. Now I did see, Patrick, you changed the recommendation documents online today. I think one of us noticed that. And so I do want to acknowledge that I wrote this before that, but I amended it hopefully as necessary. I do respect the board's fiscal responsibility to our community. I checked all of those boxes when I signed it. I am a taxpayer, I am a parent, I am a Lakeside Academy parent, and I am a teacher of this district. I love it here. I wouldn't otherwise have all my eggs in one basket. I watch our meetings and I appreciate you forecasting the tough budget realities and declining enrollment ahead. We've seen multiple Arrowhead referendums not pass. We don't want to be in that position. I get that. But the proposed daycare tuition increases, whether it's 15% or 9% or 12%, it's a lot. It's a lot on families, including myself. It's a lot on teachers. I know we're all feeling the changes and the financial pressures in the economy right now, but it's a lot. It was just jaw-dropping to read that document. And this comes right on the heels of the new policy at Lakeside Academy for everybody to pay to hold their spots. If you don't already know that in the past, we had to pay a very low fee that I think actually went to our first week's tuition as we returned back at the end of summer. But now we're required to pay to hold our spot over summer, which is a huge change. We found out about that in March. If any increase passes tonight, families will have been given less than 3 months' notice for both of these major shifts. I'm asking for a gradual rollout over multiple years. I think that's reasonable. I think based on, I know you're combing through the budget and trying to find money, but that's not on us. That is something that past decisions have been made, and we can't just pivot and be like, oh, we'll find another daycare. Waiting lists exist. I know the pricing is competitive, but that's just not reality when it comes to paying the bills. And also for our teachers, timing is critical. We have to sign our contracts by June 15th. And to have this increase, whatever it is, potentially go through tonight, that leaves us with less than a month to decide whether or not teachers are coming back. And there are financial implications to breaking that contract beyond June 15th. We used to have a teacher discount at the daycare. It was super generous, not sustainable. I totally get that, but the district was very willing to work with teachers to gradually roll that discount out. So I am asking that you consider that tonight. I think our district is really unique. We welcome little kids as young as 6 weeks old into our district. Other districts are looking to model that plan for themselves. And it's a really great opportunity to include the community, to get people into our schools, but we can't do it if it's not financially sustainable for families. So, thank you.
All right, Ms. McMillan?
Hello. Good evening, members of the board. As many of you know, I'm Allison McMillan. I teach at Hartland South. This is my 8th year in the district. I previously taught 3rd grade, and now I teach in the library, and I'm also a parent of 2 littles at Lakeside Academy. Last year I stepped away from a full class time role to transition into the library, partially to save money on childcare costs. Since its beginning, our daycare program has been promoted as an important asset, and it has been wonderful for building strong connections with our school community. I truly appreciate the care and dedication of all the daycare staff. I understand, as Lauren said, that there are a lot of operating costs that are associated with running the program. However, many families are struggling with the pace and the scale of the financial changes that are being introduced. Over a relatively short period of time, we've experienced the loss of the staff discount, the addition of the summer pay requirements, and now this proposed rate increase. Individually, each of these changes would be manageable, but together they really create a financial burden that's pretty substantial, not only to teachers, but also to non-teachers that send their kids to Lakeside Academy. I believe most families understand and expect that childcare costs are going to rise. A gradual increase of 2 to 3, even 5% would, seem reasonable, predictable, would be budgetable. The current proposal does feel pretty abrupt and difficult to absorb, especially as Lauren mentioned, this close to the end of the school year. I did some math, and my son Maverick, for the cost for 1 day of daycare in the fall of 2024, when he started, was $62.12, and that was the last year of the 12.5% discount. For my son Lincoln, who currently also falls under that 2-year-old category, the proposed rate is $81.66 a day for him, which in less than 2 years' time is a 31.5% increase for a newborn at the daycare in less than 2 years. And it makes me just really, it really affects me and my family. I also want to be honest about the reality that creates for my family, and I may have to seriously reevaluate whether or not that's financially sustainable for me to remain in the district as a teacher as well. So I hope the board will carefully consider the impact these changes have on our staff, our family stability, and access for families who rely on this program every day. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, that looks like that's all for public comment. All right, moving forward with committee reports. We'll start with PPC.
All right, PPC met on the 11th on Monday. We went over the personal report, which is the shared documents. There's a few ins and outs, especially I think custodian, that are there. We talked about the conflict of interest and board member behavior. We had 3 questions going into there. 2 of these, I think we're gonna talk about in the next June workshop. We're gonna have legal come in so we can discuss those that are there. The 3rd one was an option that wasn't selected initially regarding cell phone policy, which was just not selected during that original criteria. But the next board workshop, we will have somebody go through those policies and programs. The last thing we went through was the hydroponic STEM programming, and that's later on in the board meeting, so I won't give away all the good fun stuff, but it's a cool presentation coming forward.
Awesome.
Thanks for looking back at those.
Thanks, Chris. Well, finance?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about the daycare and the lunch price stuff, which we'll talk about more, so I won't get into any of that. We did the normal kind of spending review, financial statement review, nothing notable to report there. We looked at kind of a real rough budget for next year. I think we talked a little bit about that in the committee session. It's really too preliminary to share much with that with the larger board, but I appreciated getting that kind of first glance as we kind of move through it. You know, I think we talked about the Fund 46 transfer. You know, I think we're looking at $250 going there this year. So down from what we budgeted, but still good. And yeah, I think the rest of the stuff we can talk about when we get to the action items on the daycare and the lunch increase.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. All right, next is the Will School Board Summit and capital update. I got a little preview on this. I don't know everything about it though. So I'd like to make a motion to push this to next month so I could get caught up to speed on it. So anyone looking for that motion, or we can have Chris provide his update? You got it? All right, moving down the line here, we have our consent agenda.
We have to hold on it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Abstain. Abstain too, I don't remember what was on it, so.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
fine.
either.
Because I,
Thank you for correcting me. No problem.
I'll help you in the transition.
Appreciate that. All right, moving forward with consent agenda, we have the monthly voucher and purchasing card report. We have the school board meeting minutes from April 20th. We have the employee personnel report. We have donations. And we have the North Shore Academic and Career Planning Program that we reviewed last month. Let's see here, the donations, trying to get back into board docs, but
You want me to read it?
yes, if you can.
Sure. We had an American Heart Association donation for $350 to Hartland-Lakeside for a jump rope for Heart. And then we had a grandparent donation for $200 to Heartland North. Want to make sure all the students have school supplies. So, awesome, thank you very much.
That's so cool.
I wanna add to that if I can, I believe that, and maybe I don't think we did the Lake Country, parent group donated.
No, we didn't approve that yet, because we have to do that.
Okay, alright, so we do have a pretty big donation coming down the road. So,
Awesome.
just wanted to see on that.
We'll announce it next week.
Okay, beautiful.
All right, with that said, would anyone like any items removed from the consent agenda? If not, I am looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, any additional discussion needed? I don't believe so.
I just wanted to point out that Mrs. Plank is retiring at the end of this year in personnel report, and she's been here with the district for 23 years. And so I think that's something we should note and thank her for that, and I for one will miss her, and that she deserves a nice retirement there, so I hope she enjoys it.
I appreciate that. All right, so all in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed. All right, now we are moving into new business, STEM program presentation.
Yes, so exciting, we're very excited about this, just gonna get myself all situated here. And Chris will do this. I First and foremost, I want to thank the team for being here this evening, taking time out of your evening yet again. This is the second month in a row. But they are very committed to this proposal and have worked very hard on this proposal over the course of the last 6 months, taking general ideas and moving them into already some of them in action, and then other pieces yet to be determined this evening. So we're really excited about where we're headed with this. As you know, we have a strategic plan in place. We are going into year 2, and one of the asks within the strategic plan was really to look at our elective programming, to take a look at how we can expand kind of our robotics and wellness planning. And so in conversations with the administrators and talking about what we already have in place and what we could expand on, we have come to this model. Additionally, you may recall last year, last year, because they're 7th graders now, I was able to teach Morgan Johnson's 6th grade class, as she was the ticket winner. And so I got to be her sub for the day. And sorry, Morgan, but I did, and Sarah and everybody else, I did take 20 minutes at the end of every session I had with them to ask them some questions about what are you interested in? What would you like to do? What would you like to see in the future for Hartland-Lakeside electives? Some of them we were able to very quickly implement, even with new administration, with digital marketing. So I think one of the things that our middle schoolers really loved this year was being able to take that digital marketing and learn about their digital footprint, which is not something that we've really talked a whole lot about. So much so that Allie, who is here, really ran away with it in at South, 3rd through 5th grade, implementing programming to really give them a bigger deep dive so that we start that education sooner. And you'll hear Allie's name a couple times in this presentation. So very excited to be here with you tonight. I'm not going to get real deep into this. If you watched last week, remembering that the public is watching as well, our administrative team just did a phenomenal job laying out what this could look like for kids. And so really today I am here for the ask. We're going to talk about a lot of different elements of this program and what it means, and how it builds the future of not only each individual student that looks at this from a K-8 model, but for frankly for the future of our country. They are sitting in our classrooms right now, and these are the things that we think are going to strengthen them to be the best that they can be. So what does that look like? Within our strategic plan, we kind of started with that portrait of a graduate compass and what that looks like. Little did we know, I brought this to Heartland from 7 years ago. There were initial conversations about a portrait of a graduate and what that looks like. And it was at a session that I was in, that I had at a leadership conference somewhere, that talked about what does your graduate look like. So we kind of started working backwards with, like, what do we want Hartland-Lakeside students at 8th grade, what do we want them to look like? And that's when we came up with that portrait of a graduate. It was a model that was used. And how exciting, I will share this with the community now, that DPI has determined that every district across the state needs to have a portrait of a graduate program within their buildings and in their districts, and they have actually asked Hartland-Lakeside to be a model school to present across the state, and kind of talking about our portrait of a graduate. So we've already kind of begun what that might look like for our future. But that is our compass. I can't get over the staff in such a short period of time, within my first years here, going, yeah, we've got this, we're gonna run with this, we're gonna grow, think, collaborate, share, care, and lead. And each of our buildings have a leadership team with their staff, they meet with them on a regular basis. Sarah really kind of took it and said, yeah, we can put this in all of our areas. And the reason we can do that, and the reason it went so well, is because we have an impenetrable foundation at Hartland-Lakeside, unlike anything we've seen. We need to protect that foundation, reinforcing the core academic excellence in literacy and math. If we believe wholeheartedly, if we secure that and we maintain that model, we can do anything. We can put anything in play, because that's what success looks like. Reminding you, of course, that we are #1 in the state in math in the forward exam, and we are in the top 5 across the state in education with a 23% free and reduced, with 15% of our students identified with IEPs as students with needs. I think those are pretty good stats, and we continue to rise year after year, and it's because of the great work going on in our buildings. So we want to sustain that. But is that all that we want to do? Is that what our focus is always? It is when we talk about any program model we put in place. It's what we talked about when you're going to hear about the library in a minute. It's what we talked about when we talked about social studies, and it's what we're going to be talking about tonight when it comes to sciences and mathematics and expanding robotics and hydroponics. We need to prepare for the future. We need to expand the learning through STEM and real-world experiences. So what does that look like? I keep hitting the wrong button because I know I need to get to this pointer because my team told me I needed to use the pointer.
In her eyes, though.
I
know, right?
So how does this exactly look like for a coherent K-8 model? Every component of it is intentionally placed to support the next level. So you'll see, just like our strategic plan and our pillars, it's built in the house, right, in a form of a house. And what does that mean? Well, we started with the blueprint. What is that? It's the strategic plan. It's the work that this board has done over the course of the last 2 years to create this idea of who are we. And then adding to that is the foundation. I'm not going to mystify anybody up here and say that the foundation wasn't laid before the strategic plan. It absolutely was. We have been a strong literacy and math school district for a very long time, and the reason why is because we have such a great coaching and intervention support system. Then inside of that, that's that structural pillar place here, we're really talking about that application and inquiry. We changed the way that we do library media, we changed the way that we're doing social studies, and we are working toward continued experiential science and then expanding it from there. And what is that capstone, and what is that tipping point, that top level of what we're looking to do? It's future-focused learning for the new STEM initiative. Literacy and math have served as the non-negotiable foundation for all future academic and real-world learning. That is absolutely at the core of who we are. It is consistent K-8 instruction, eradicating any variance across grade levels. So when I was teaching and I was in the classroom, now it was music, so it was a little bit different, but I remember our core content areas were going to teacher-paid teachers and any of these other outlets to create their lesson plans and build and grow their lesson plans. Here, a lot of districts will sign up for one set, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna follow this book and only this book, and it's gonna deliver all of our curriculum. At Hartland-Lakeside, I learned the way they piece together their literacy is taking from the best practices of about 5 different programs and making what's best for education and for our kids. And it was all data driven, and I remember looking at when I first came on board, Sarah and Lisa were sharing all the different ways that they made this work. So much so that you might be aware of Act 20. It's a law that was passed that our kindergarten through 3rd graders have to be qualifying readers by the time they're in 3rd grade. So much so that the plan that we have been using here at Hartland for I don't know how many years, we didn't have to renew our literacy program, our reading program, because ours was so good. And there was a lot of work that went into that. There was a lot of time, a lot of energy, a ton of training, but we were able to sustain our own model because we know it works and because people did the work to submit it to DPI, and I would put it up against any other school district's model for Act 20. It really is sustainable, so much so that we are going to work to continue it into 4th and 5th grade and kind of mirror that model for math in the future. So consistent K instruction, targeted student support, that's another thing from very early on, from kindergarten, that's that Act 20 piece, right? Identifying assistant students exactly when they need it, not the next year or the next 6 months later. And then, of course, ongoing teacher development. This district is really focused on professional development, continuously refining instructional expertise, but now we're to a place of, rather than traveling to New York or going to different places, which was very costly, we have experts. Not only do we have experts as far as our reading coach and our math coach, we have expert teachers, and they are now starting to share and work together and grow as educators and as leaders in their field. This is where I get my pointer out. So the foundational support mechanism, intervention, coaching, and architecture, this is the foundation of where we are at. So if you look over here, that K-3 early identification and heavy support, that's that Act 20 compliance. What that does, by really opening that, widening that gap out at the front, we can filter as many kids in early on to ensure that we have, for 6th through 8th grade, a reduced long-term interventional needs. We have that system in place. It's actually the grade bands for us are actually K3 and then 4 through 8. Reading interventionists at all buildings, math interventionists at all buildings, really sinking into ensuring that kids get help now based on every concept. Not just generalizing math, but threading through the MAP scores and finding out that it's algebraic equations or some element that they have to get expertise in, and our staff do that work. The coaching engine is that instructional coaching feeds into that teacher expertise, and those cogs are going. They are working together with small intervention, instructional coaching, and stronger outcomes. What does that look like here? It looks like leadership is the director of teaching and learning who is overseeing the curriculum, the K-8 coherence, and the instructional systems. We have in math, we have K-8 math coach who builds consistency, works alongside teachers in real time. We have a literacy coach that does the K-3 lit and Act 20 coordinator, ensuring early literacy compliance and excellence. And I will tell you that work right there is absolutely core to the work that we are doing every single day, and it's what makes it work later down in the years. And then for 4-8, we also have a literacy coach and a 6th through 8th grade interventionist, so some dual roles there. Targeted intervention with reading interventionists and math interventionists, and then the 6th through 8th grade. This is where we kind of talk about that connectivity of foundational academics and future application, so inquiry and perspective. What does that look like? I talked a little bit about library and information literacy. This again is led by our district-wide kind of library coordinator, Lisa. She's at all 3 buildings and kind of just makes sure that the libraries are put together. We made a switch, you'll recall. North had this brilliant idea to create this beautiful space in their library 2-3 years ago. It's worked out beautifully. And then at South, we had made some adjustments. We had a teacher that was in there who retired, who was teaching social studies in that classroom. We moved social studies back into the regular classroom, just kind of historical value here. And that's when we brought Allie inside. And Allie, you'll see that she's a teacher, so she came out of the classroom, so we made them teaching aides in all 3 of the buildings. And then at the middle school, we also have that support system in Amanda. So we have Melissa at North, we have Allie here at South, and Amanda at North Shore Middle School. That impact alone has made such a huge difference in the foundation and the success of our students. What does that mean? Independent research, media literacy, and lifelong reading. You'll never hear me saying anything about removing a library. I love books, I want to hold books in my hand, and I believe in literacy. Social studies was a K-8 model as well. You'll recall we went through a whole series of looking at different curricula to make a determination on what we were going to do, particularly kindergarten through 5th grade, and they have gone through this first year and have knocked it out of the park, so much so that that source has contacted and reached out to Sarah and said, I can't get over how great your staff have done at implementing the social studies. So we're really excited about that. We're going to continue to expand that. We are going to look at the middle school model soon. But what the interesting thing that we found this year, which was so great, was that the portrait of a graduate elements and the design that goes along with civic engagement, communication, and perspective taking fits right within the curriculum of the middle school. And so we really expanded that, particularly at the middle school, and every middle schooler takes Portrait of a Graduate. Every middle schooler has an element. Every 8th grader has done interviews with each of you. You all have experienced that incredible opportunity for our students. And the outcome for all of this is students learn how to engage responsibly and understand their world, not just memorizing content. And before I have teachers go, well, we don't make them just memorize content, that is the perception, right? The perception in the world is that we are still doing rote learning. And I can tell you and assure you that Heartland doesn't do that, but for the greater good, I want you to know that when you start talking about experiential learning and application, Heartland does it very, very well. So again, you're gonna look at this kind of traditional learning content that everybody kind of believes is out there, is that rote memorization, that passive observation and isolated subjects, right? Kind of looking at what that is and kind of where we would like to move. Again, tied directly to the strategic plan. We're talking about life science and sustainable agriculture. We're talking about really digging even deeper into our outdoor education opportunities and our wellness. So what does that look like? It's an idea of the students aren't just learning science, they are experiencing it through inquiry and hands-on application. So exploring biological concepts through active hydroponics and environmental awareness. As you know, that we have Courtney at pretty much K3, we're kind of looking to make her a little more K2 and then maybe working with Jake a little more in that 3-5 realm. But we already we're tapping maple trees, we're in the woods. You saw, if you didn't see it, you saw it on the Facebook post, a giant bird's nest for our kindergarten and first graders to be outside and doing some reading, and it's so exciting and so incredible. And Chris Dillon could tell you that his second grader came home and they were walking around outside and there was a bird singing, and she was able to identify the bird. And Chris looked at her like, how do you know what bird that is? I don't know what bird that is. So it's fascinating and incredible things are happening every single day in our buildings, and we can't keep up with Facebook fast enough to get it out there. So it's important that you understand that and know the great things that are happening. What that hydroponics piece looks like, John brought this forward when we started talking about how do you take STEM isn't just a separate class on its own, right? I hope everybody understands that. What STEM is taking all of your core academics and tying together into this applied way. And so when we started talking about the robotics and the pieces that I'll talk about in just a minute, it was like, well, what are some of the needs? Like, and one of the things that our middle schoolers last year, they're 7th graders this year, they'll be 8th graders next year, talked about was kind of this, how do we grow our own food and how do we focus on wellness, and almost like the former home ec that we used to have, right? When we all had 6 weeks of sewing and we had to sew a pillow or whatever it was, right? I don't know if you all did that, but we did, aging myself probably. But this really is kind of exploring biological concepts through active hydroponics and environmental awareness. So John said, I'm gonna go out, and he got bids and he's figuring it out, and there are these giant towers and you grow lettuce and sprouts and tomatoes and cucumbers, and you do it in 28 days. Well, in 28 days, we could probably run 2 sessions of these towers, right, in 1 quarter. And so that's pretty incredible, right? We have the space, we know where we can put these, and it's just, it brings everything together in that life science way, and we have bigger ideas for the future, and I'm getting way ahead of myself on the slides, but I'm so excited about this. I'm super pumped about it and the great work. Same thing with outdoor ed. We brought in a brand new PE teacher this year at the middle school who is absolutely committed to getting kids outside. They are outside as often as humanly possible here at North Shore Middle School. They are out when it's raining a little bit, when it's a little too chilly, that's all right, let's go, let's run harder, right? Like, she's got such a great attitude and has such a great spirit in her. And then of course the wellness piece. When we talk to the 6th graders, I talk to the 6th graders, I actually had students say, I wish I knew more about what I should be eating, or how to be healthy, or how to sustain my body. That's pretty incredible for a 6th grader to be thinking that way. I wanna honor that. I want us to honor that and take a look at knowing that a healthy body and a healthy mind leads to healthy future. So what does this all look like? We've got this great core academic content. Again, reminding ourselves of that foundation that we have. We'd love to take what we have already. We already have robotics and coding. We've got some great stuff going on at North. We've got some great stuff happening at South. And we have PLTW. We were just named an elite school last year, or school of recognition last year. We'd like to really grow that and really kind of How does this feed into all of our academic areas? Love to get our VEX robotics, where kids are thinking systems and working together, designing, engineering, and solving real world problems. It's not about more content, it's where students use what they already know in applying it. So what we're trying to keep up with is that rapidly changing future. You all have children in our district right now, right? Some of them littles, some of them about to graduate, right? And then you're done. You don't have children here. You're gonna see that future creep up on you so much faster. But what are we in first grade? What's Cole doing in first grade that she knows that she can grab onto that they need 20 years from now? Right? She's looking at the whole person, and what she can do for them. Students are entering a world requiring rapid adaptation and critical thinking. This initiative ensures we are preparing them now rather than waiting for later. It's the STEM initiative. What does that mean? It's math, science, technology times problem solving equals that STEM application. We are looking to hire a new K-8 STEM teacher who builds and leads this K-8 program. It serves as the integration point for math, science, technology, and partners directly with core classroom teachers, taking exactly what we just talked about, our core, our math, literacy, science, and social studies, putting it through its magic little machine and coming up with STEM skills, core integration, robotics, and CT&E. The takeaway on this is the position maximizes the value of our foundational subjects by serving as the essential integration point, the master of this domain, so to speak. So what does that look like for Hartland-Lakeside if approved this evening? It's the implementation blueprint for year one. The core focus is strategic growth and systemic planning. So we're going to support real-world applications and signature programs, and we're going to revise and develop opportunities. Robotics, a pathway development, so already we know, because we've made some transitions with some staff, that we've already, regardless of what happens, we're going to bolster up at North. They are already planning, and they are itching to get going. They've got the little robots, and the students are 5-year-olds. 5-year-olds are writing code so that a robot can go through a little obstacle course, right? That is high level thinking when we start to think about what is that guy that we all learned about? The philosophy guy. Anyway, kind of trying to make sure that that's happening, right? And then hydroponics and growing, innovative life science and agriculture technology. I will say this to you all. This is something that is the hot ticket right now. It is, right? It is, but it's for high schools. A lot of high schoolers are doing this. Very few middle schools are doing this across the state. And I think because we have the foundation that we have, I think we can do it better than anyone. I believe that. Action item is to begin creating partnerships with the cafeteria staff. They already know about it. They're very excited about it because we would like to grow enough to be able to sustain salads at lunches at all 3 buildings. And then we'll blow it out even more year 2. So again, talking about year 2 and beyond, looking at that community mentorship and local business partnerships. We already are ready to hit send tomorrow on business partnerships, looking for people to sponsor and donate to this programming. We are really excited about the cross-curricular integration, all that middle to elementary mentorship, providing for the younger people, building out that farm to school cafeteria integration. Advanced application of career technology and engineering is deepening that robotics. Right now, everybody has their own little pot of robotics, I would say. There's not that cohesive connectivity. Well, why wouldn't we take what Heather's building is doing and say, okay, that's what she's got going on. Dave, what can you do with that? I'm gonna hand the baton to you. Now what are you gonna do, right? Dave's gonna take it along with Allie and several other key players, and they're gonna grab that and go, okay, we're gonna do VEX robotics, and we've got these sets, and we're gonna build machines, and we're gonna put things together, and then we're gonna say, okay, give it to John. And John's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna take it one level further. Yes, I'm gonna keep PLTW because that's core, and we've got a lot of that. But we are going to take it to the future of hydroponics and growing and how we can apply systems the same exact way in robotics as you can in these hydroponics. So we're expanding our reach, deepening learning, and partnering for success. For students, it's an unshakable foundation in literacy and math. We go right back to that. It's immediate, it's targeted academic support, and it's purposeful, real-world learning experiences. For the community, it's continued high-performance metrics, which we know we need, right? We have it, let's sustain it. Highly responsible resource allocation and graduates exceptionally prepared for a shifting future. And when we talk about this community piece, this summer, the leadership team, we are going out to the community. We are going to hold meetings at the fire station, at Village Hall, at the library. We're meeting every Tuesday, and so if you're listening and you want us to come to you, we're gonna get out in the community and we're gonna start talking about what it is we're doing, because the future of Hartland, you all know, people don't leave Hartland. And if they leave Hartland, they come back to Hartland because it's where they were raised and it's what they believe in and it's what they know. So who do we need to talk to? The businesses, the people who are out there who are hiring people and looking to attract, right? Those are the people. What skills are they looking for? What does the future look like? And then for staff, clear, coherent K-8 systems. Again, they're very used to that. They're used to this idea of, okay, I've got this ball, I'm gonna pass it on, we're gonna pass it on. Not in the hot potato sense, not like, oh, I don't want that problem, right? It's like, no, we're gonna build it, we're gonna give it to you. Ongoing embedded instructional coaching, we will not abandon that. That is key to what we do, and aligned expectations across all grade levels. We talk all the time about that transition between 2nd and 3rd grade and 5th grade and 6th grade. We are working really hard to make sure that is a seamless entry point for each child that enters into that. So what does this look like? It's not about adding more, it's about aligning our system and preparing students for what comes next. We have a remarkably strong foundation, and this proposal ensures we build upon it intentionally, responsibly, and with profound purpose for the future of all of our students here at Hartland-Lakeside. So it is our recommendation that we move forward, that we ask you tonight to allow us to do the work to stay out of this stagnant space that we're in, to renew some of our electives and our programming to ensure the best of all for our students. I know there are some questions out there regarding, well, how do you know this is gonna be what our kids need? We contacted high schools. We talked to the curriculum directors and said, what do you need from our graduates to support the programs that you have? The majority of our students will end up at Arrowhead. It's just, we are a feeder school to Arrowhead, but we also worked with Pewaukee. We also worked with Okan. We talked to other districts, and this is where we are headed. Not only that, but take the actual program and all that away. It's what students are learning intrinsically, right? It's what they're learning how to do, how not to do, how to solve problems in a practical way. So I know that would be one of the questions. I think then too, it's the financial. So is it just a teacher? Is it, what is the cost of this program? So each of the administrators ran out, they got bids or associated costs. We have some VEX equipment that I think I shared with you several years ago. There were some purchases that were made, and some of it was VEX equipment and whatnot. Gretchen and I kind of looked at some of what we have. We're gonna kind of sort through it and start to catalog it a little bit. Might be able to piecemeal some things together. But we're talking about, I don't know, roughly $5,000 at North, about $10,000 at South. And then North Shore Middle School, we have towers. Right now, the ticket is like $60,000, but that's for 10 towers and a full implementation. What we're looking at doing is possibly tying it into our life science teaching, so it's not a separate entity, but making it part of the science curriculum, so that we don't lose, we don't try to make that all happen. Again, because there's not approval on this program, our teachers here at North Shore Middle School are aware of the program, and they're aware this is happening and we're talking about it, but we need to find the person and then balance that against what we have and kind of talk about how that's gonna look. What are some of the things, I think that the question is, everybody's like, oh, we don't have any money, how are we gonna do this, what does it look like, right? And it really is tied to purposeful, intentional decision-making from day one of my coming to Hartland. when we first came here, and anybody that was here at the time, we noticed that there were things that were just being reordered, subscriptions, just reordering and not, people weren't using them. And we just, I think, thought that the subscriptions were canceled and they were just on this rotating thing. So the administration worked really hard to go, wait a minute, we don't use that, we haven't used that in 3 years, but we're still paying for it, right? Like those types of things happening. So it's been line by line, looking at everything that we spend money on. Sarah and I kind of had a conversation just the other day. Cindy and I were talking about what are the costs that we have for spend. What are we spending on professional development? So I asked Cindy to break it down. Cindy Romanesco, accounts payable. We used to spend $150,000 a year for teachers to go to New York, and they would fly to New York and they would get trained, or we would bring in training. We haven't done that. We haven't done that because I believe in the people that we have here, and we have experts in our field. So we have taken that $175,000 bill, we'll average it, down to $20,000. And the only reason it's $20,000 is because we have teachers who are actually spending time in summer after school writing curriculum, making sure that they're at the top of their game when they get ready back to the kids, and we compensate them for that. There are a variety of other pieces that once I sit down, Patrick is happy to share with you other ways, but I will share with you that this is what it's all about for kids. This is where we need to be, this is where we need to go, and I have an entire team that is ready to take that and run with it. And I've never been this year has been just a remarkable year for this leadership team, and the work that has been done, and the way they go back to their buildings and they build everything out with their staff. It is a great machine right now. And I believe that with this strategic plan and the work that you've done to get us to where we are today, and my 146 KPIs, right? Like, I'm here for it and ready to take it on. If we can ensure that we're doing what's best for kids always. So this isn't fluff, this is something that they need, and I just ask for your approval. Questions?
Just a quick comment, you also said there's a grant for this?
Yes, so, yep, I will talk to you about that. Yeah, absolutely, because I already know, because we talked about it in PPC a little bit, so I was kind of prepared for it. The grant is not approved at this point. It is a first come, first served basis, but it is one of the only grants that, it's from Fab Lab through the state. And it is one of the only grants that doesn't have that if you live in a property-rich neighborhood or whatever, right, it doesn't have a clause to it. It's first come, first served. So we already have the grant, we've already begun filling the grant out, but when the date comes, Sarah and I are like, send, right? It's gonna be, we hit send on that first day. We worked with Pewaukee, thank you to Danielle Bosonic, again, she has done such a great job of assisting and talking us through it all. We don't know how much we could get, it's a matching grant, so whatever monies we would get, we would say this is what we would want, we would get that from them, or whatever they approve us for, it's a 50-50. So it's anywhere between $50,000 and beyond. I'm sure there's a cap at like $200,000, we've gotta take a look at that. There seems to be like, there might have been some changes in that over the years, but I do know that Patrick can speak more to the finances of it. I think there's another question out there that I do wanna address, because I think two of you have asked the same question. How do we measure success for this program? We measure success in the same way that we measured success for literacy and math and any other program. We didn't have a model for Portrait of a Graduate. We had I had no idea. I knew it could be good. I had no idea that it could be what it turned into at the hands of our staff. As soon as they were given this is what we're doing, build it, they far exceeded anything that I could have ever imagined or created myself. And the principals told me, I had full transparency, the principal said to me, Tina, give it to the teachers, let's just go. They're gonna be far more creative, and they were. And it was the first time that we brought kindergarten through 8th grade together, and they built it together, and our plan is to do the same. Our plan is to bring them all back again this summer, kindergarten through 8th grade, split them all up and have them talk about what does it look like. So what does success look like? Success looks like us relying on that strong foundation of literacy and mathematics and growing a program from the ground up. What does our 8th grader look like? Dial it all the way back to kindergarten and pull that wire through. And I think there was another question of, well, we've got a lot of kids open enrolling in, and we do. We'll talk a little bit about that. We don't, I think we keep talking about this declining enrollment. I'm not sure we're gonna be declining. I have this great hope, and I've had this great hope from day one that we're gonna build that back out. But what does that look like? And I mean, there were a couple of different references. One was lemonade. I'll just share the lemonade one. I thought it was cute. If you have this great glass of lemonade that we have here at Hartland-Lakeside, it's great glass lemonade, man. Anybody that's here right now, and especially if you're here kindergarten through 8th grade, that lemonade is perfect. It's spot on, just the right amount of lemon and sugar. Well, what happens when you just add water to it? It's gonna dilute it. So how do you get back to that great lemonade? You see some examples of it sitting here tonight. They know just the amount of sugar, just the amount of lemon to add to that water to make it a great glass of lemonade. Other questions?
So the ask is for the supplies or for the teacher?
The teacher.
And how, is that a full-time, like a 1.0?
Full-time teacher.
1.0.
Okay.
So when I brought you guys the preliminary budget, we talked a little bit.
That's right, you said it wasn't there.
Not obviously, full transparency, not approved. But I have $100,000 in that budget, 65 salary, 35 benefits, which is the typical breakdown we see. I also will tell you, the budget I brought you and Matt, I did a lot of work in the last week, trying to update things. Got a lot more information. We've seen great success with our Family Advantage Health Plan. Looking at savings right in the neighborhood of about $240,000 premium savings this year. Yeah, we had to swallow a big pill with health insurance, but I've double budgeted for a lot of those items. So I backed $240,000 out, renegotiated our managed print services. We're gonna save another $20 annually. Audit costs, we were able to get audit costs down $5,000. We have a new staffing partner for our external substitutes. Probably saving somewhere in the $15,000 to $20,000 range, just based on the percentages that they charge, and our current volume and usage. I'm currently in the middle of shopping our liability and property insurance, hasn't been shopped in 7 years. We had EMC through our buildings. We've got 3 or 4 bids coming in. I don't know what that's gonna look like, but as people shop and more bids come in, opportunity for more savings. Right now, I'm looking at the neighborhood of, if everything were status quo, early stage, with that position, with the maintenance technician position that's already been approved, I'm projecting a budget surplus of about $270,000. So, from a numbers perspective, the budget supports it. That's my,
What's the grant process? I mean, when you talked about this, we factored, I know you gotta, like, it's not guaranteed you get this, I'm just curious, right? Like, what is,
It isn't, but it
is.
is dependent on the timing of it, right? So that's why I'm saying it's first come, first serve on that dollar amount. And they tend to, grants are really a pain, right? I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you, people don't like to take the time to write the grants.
If you meet the criteria.
Right, it has it has nothing to do with anything
So-
else.
I mean, basically, I mean, I don't, the layman's terms, Danielle wrote this for Pewaukee. She basically gave us the blueprint of, this is how you need to write it. This is what the grant award is looking for, committee's looking for. Write it in this format, make sure you have these key elements. And your odds of securing the grant, if there's still funds available, is pretty high.
Okay. And they're doing it annually, correct, over there?
Yeah, I think yes, it is annually.
Are we working pretty close with them if we were to approve this?
We have great relationships. Sarah has established great relationships with Arrowhead and with Pewaukee and people who have done it. So Sarah and I just met last week and talked about what I think, because I think you guys asked some questions at PPC that were really great. Like what are some pitfalls, right? What didn't go well and how do we avoid them? And what went well and how do we do that, right? I mean, some just really great guidance questions. To sit here today and say to you, well, this is exactly how it's gonna go, and this is unrealistic, right? It has to evolve. We have to continually reassess and reevaluate, just like we would any of our curriculum. Our math and literacy programs, that whole thing started 12 years ago, at least 12 years ago, and I would say probably it's been in the last 5 years that it's met its this is what we're doing and this is where it's at and masterful. So it takes time to evolve programs, but I think that in and of itself just shares with you or helps you see that they're not quitters, right? They're gonna keep going until they see student success and outcomes.
I really like the vision, but my only question is in the first, say, year or two, how do you measure that success though? Like,
I think it's a great question. We've kicked it around a little bit and
yeah, besides the lettuce.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that, honestly, Chris, I don't know that outside of the joy on their face and the feedback from kids, and one of the things that I wonder about is some behavioral issues that we may or may not have in elective courses, because kids don't want to be in that class at that time, and maybe they're gonna enjoy hydroponics more than they would, I don't know, comic art or whatever, I don't, whatever it might be. Maybe that's a measure. I think right now we gotta get somebody in here to help us see what this vision and make this vision happen and bring it to life. But we didn't have any measures of success for Portrait of a Graduate. Now we have measures of success and we can build it from there. So I can't sit here and concrete tell you, oh, well, if 85% of them did this, that, or it's not realistic, and I would be lying to you. There's no way for us to do that. You have to take this trust but verify attitude with us and know that what you've seen this staff and these teams do over the course of the years is evidence enough for you to take this opportunity forward.
Yeah, I appreciate all the due diligence and effort that you're putting into it and being fiscally responsible with the approach. The framework, in my opinion, strikes a perfect balance of safeguarding what we already know works and what you're all successful at already, while also paving, a path forward for innovation. So it's outstanding in my opinion.
I would say the end, right, the Portrait of the Graduate is the end, the first measure of success. This is what you want it to look like, that's what that success would be, or do they have these skills moving on at that piece. So I think that's the first piece, and then all those other ones will fall into place.
So the annual cost is $160-ish?
No,
It's
so
equipment up front.
that
there's-
equipment is upfront cost, is all.
That's a one-time.
That's a
There's no
one-time.
on,
It's just
No.
basically-
okay, so you purchase it.
Yeah, I mean, there would be some, don't get me wrong, there would be some supply costs that would be annual, but the big ticket of buying the actual equipment to run the program. So you're looking at a staff member. So obviously you have a staff member that's going to go up each year, but I budgeted $100,000 for salary and benefits.
Yep, okay.
Yeah. And I will say that
Thank
we typically budget $200-250 for curriculum resources, and that's because this district has been committed year after year to doing curriculum, what do we call that? Each year, we kind of look at a new curriculum for a new subject area, right? And we are doing that, so there's space for it, for these one-time funds.
Yeah, we're not doing it this year.
No,
This year.
right.
We didn't stop doing it.
Right, just this year, yes, sorry, sorry, yeah, we're not, no
We
longer
pressed pause for
looking at
1 year
it.
because
Yeah,
we didn't have great need.
to do that, thank you, thank you.
I want to send the right message.
No, it seems to line up really nicely with everything that we did in the strategic plan.
Where would these towers go?
Well, right now, we've got that great big robotics room and we have, a couple of classrooms that we're looking at. They could go in either. I think if you were to ask Mr. Fox, he would like probably to go in the big robotics room at the end, but if we have that.
Not your office?
There's windows and there's water there, but we also made a commitment years ago to make that kind of a robotic space. So like I said, again, bring somebody in, have them assess what it looks like and build this thing out. And we have the job description ready, we have the notice to families ready, we have the social
Ready.
media blitz,
Push
the
play.
media release, we've got it all ready to go, tomorrow.
Do we happen to know anyone that we have in mind for the position, or it's really just all up in the air? It's not like hey, we have someone in our district that we wanna kind of tap?
I think all of us are gonna hit our networks and
Okay.
and yeah, go from there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alright,
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the STEM programming position and associated curriculum costs. That's what I said.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, it's very exciting.
Great for kids.
Thank you guys, you have just worked tirelessly on this, so it's actually been a vision for Mr. Risch for several years, and so to let him see it come through is pretty darn exciting.
Good stuff. Salad for everyone.
I'm gonna have to rethink my vote then.
Good.
I'm sure it could.
Just gotta put the right stuff on.
I'll let my middle kid take it, he likes the salads.
Alright, moving forward here, we have discussion and decision on the 26-27 board calendar.
I have 2 dates I think we should move.
What you got?
December 21st, I think that's a terrible date, no offense. It is during, winter break, so I think if we move it up a week to December 14th, that Monday. And then just going along the lines of no school on January 18th, I think moving it to the 19th, the Tuesday, or another day is good.
I actually have December 14th for the December meeting, and then January 11th would work best for me.
It's all about you.
I'm just throwing it out there.
No, I'm just gonna
I will say that week of the 19th through the 22nd, I am always gone that week for
Is that
the
January?
convention.
Okay,
So
so
the
the week
11th,
before.
yep, the 11th would work great.
Does that give you enough time, Patrick?
On which one?
The 11th of January?
Yeah, that's fine.
And then the 14th of December?
They may all have vacations during one of these summer days, like I do.
No,
September, yeah, the big one, I am,
that one we can't move.
we can't move this one?
I don't think so, cause that was set by the electors, or the people last year, right?
Oh.
You probably really don't know the rules, but it was said at that meeting.
Yeah, I don't have a way out, that's my wife's 40th, I'll be looking to bunk with one of you if I miss that
I don't have any space.
No, I won't make the July 20th, and we don't have to move it. We've never, as long as I've been on the board, I don't think we've had anybody miss a meeting. I would have to go straight up miss that one, and, you know, I don't wanna move it for everybody, but that's just full transparency. So I don't,
And although we set the calendar now, we do have authority later
Yeah.
to manipulate the schedule if we need to.
you wanna just, only just move the two that are on,
Are known.
yeah, that are on no school days. And then we can address
Next
a
meeting.
month ahead, you know, just in June, we can address for with the July or just keep it, whatever.
And then for September, what do I have to do to figure out if we can move that one?
Let's figure out if we can with the budget hearing, but Is that kind of the same idea? I don't know the rules, sir.
Gretchen's part of an organization of all of the assistants for executive assistants in the district. She can ask through that. And we can also, obviously just try to figure out other channels.
I'm sure there's a process.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain.
I'll make a motion. You wanna do something? Okay.
No, I was gonna say, I do have a conflict on December 14th. I had planned a vacation around the normal scheduled meeting, which was the 3rd, so.
It's Christmas break.
Yeah.
Made sure I was home for the board meeting.
Look at you.
I planned it the week before, so that doesn't mean that we have to accommodate.
I was just talking about it or whatever.
Yeah.
His hair done.
If everybody's great,
Move it, let's move it.
That's
we can leave it, you can keep it, it doesn't matter, and then as it gets closer,
There's like a couple meetings this year.
Yeah, we did.
This initial
Yeah, we did.
calendar. There's 2, I think. So it's just, why don't we move the ones that are.
sorry, I cut you off, don't worry.
No, I was gonna make a motion to just approve it. You
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the school board calendar as presented with 2 changes, the December meeting moving to December 14th, 2026, and the January meeting moving to January 11th, 2027.
A second.
All in favor?
Alright,
Alright, moving forward with the district updates.
Yes, so that's just great again, thank you, we're very excited about that. We had made an initiative to do the America 250th Act 95, and then it became law. And so I just wanna share with you a little bit about what we've done already here at North Shore Middle School, what the plan is for North and for South. At North Shore Middle School, the students reflected on the symbolic meaning of the American flag and expressed their personal connection to the nation's history and future within their social studies classrooms. The activities that they had were discussing America's 250 years, the milestones, democracy, the evolution of the flag, the symbol of the flag, and the future. The living flag, students answered 3 questions. What do you think of when you think of America? What does America mean to you personally? And what is one hope you have for America's future? Students will wrap up by sharing their biggest hopes for the next 250 years, and they had an American flag treat during lunchtime from the cafeteria. If you haven't had the opportunity, we do have these living flags in each of our wings here at North Shore Middle School. We do have some pictures up on Facebook, and the kids, it was a great day for the kids. At South, theirs is May 25th. Students are gonna study and celebrate the different symbols in America. The art activities include their pledge together outside at the flagpole, and then a big group photo at the flagpole. Grade level colors to wear will be 3rd grade will wear blue, 4th grade will wear red, 5th grade will wear white. 3rd grade is studying and sharing the symbolism of our country within the history of our national parks. And then 4th grade will be studying and sharing the symbolism of the eagle and its representation throughout history. 5th grade is going to talk about American symbolism represented through students' poems, haikus, and art, and we'll have multi-age group time to share learning across grade levels. So that's pretty exciting happening over at South. And then at North will be June 3rd. Students will gather for an assembly to celebrate the semi-quincentennial and the national monuments. Thank you for that word, that's great. Activities, Pledge of Allegiance, they're gonna watch a slideshow of national monuments, sing a song, take pictures outside. Kids are gonna wear different colors to create a human flag, and their activity is how I think we should celebrate America's birthday. Know that we are required through the DPI to complete some documentation and submit that, and Sarah has gleefully accepted that responsibility.
When did what law is it? What happened?
It's just through DPI put out that we are required to do it. What is the requirement on that?
It's just a survey I have to fill out.
Yeah, to acknowledge to celebrate. Yeah.
What was South State?
The 29th.
29th.
The 25th is actually Memorial Day.
Oh, excuse me, the 15th.
That's Sorry, that was.
You can have,
Or a
you
copy.
can have Everett if you want him on Monday. I'll send him.
No, I'm sorry, that won't work. It's too hard to coordinate a photo on that day.
Just trying to be a team player here.
So fun things, great things happening. The kids are excited and that it's great work. So I appreciate that piece of that. I talked a little bit about summer school is right around the corner, so we may have a couple of spots, though I'm just gonna tell you, it filled up really quickly. We've got a lot of really great things happening in summer school, so if you didn't get in yet, make sure you reach out to Maureen and she'll try to help get you some time in there. I wanna clarify something about the 4K. We've learned a little bit about what's happening with our 4K students and why does it feel like enrollment is down? Is it just a birth problem? What is it, right? Well, what we've discovered is that the state of Wisconsin, I don't know if it's state or federal, we're in Wisconsin, so I'm gonna call it state, that they have now are allowing, and it's I'm sure it's to ease structures for parents, but what a student can go to a daycare facility as a 4-year-old, stay the whole day, the daycare facility gets reimbursement for 2 hours and 40 minutes of what they would normally be in school for. They don't have certified teachers, it's just, that's called 4K. So parents are saying, I'm gonna leave my kid in a 4K, at a facility that I don't have to think about picking them up, dropping them off, or anything like that. They'll call it 4K and we'll catch them up in kindergarten. And I know that that's the case and it's happening here in Hartland because we have 13 students who are Hartland students who did not attend 4K last year and are entering into 5K. So we are seeing some switches with that, some changes in that behavior. And we also just have some moms who just want to keep their little 48 months out babies at home, and I don't blame them, right? I talk about that all the time. So I think there's more to it than birth rate. There's more to it than they're just not choosing our 4K. That's not what's happening. There's some shifts happening culturally. We're talking and trying to work through how we mitigate that and encourage our families. Just if you're listening tonight, there's the camera. We are encouraging you to please do send your children to 4K. I think obviously is that in the education system, it's why we've made some adjustments with math intervention. We've got a great kindergarten teacher who's now transitioning into math intervention 4 days a week, anticipating what our students that are coming in from no education or from a daycare facility, which I'm sure has all kinds of strengths to it too. I'm not knocking daycare facilities. I'm just saying what we have in place here at Hartland-Lakeside for 4K is really strong academically, and it goes back into that cohesive K-8 model that we talk about. If they miss 4K, they're missing some academics that we're gonna have to make up for in kindergarten. So I just wanna kind of stress that. Heather and I have been talking about a lot of things. We have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning, so we'll be talking a little bit more and there will be more to come as we have that conversation. But I wanted to clarify that because there does seem to be this misnomer or kind of figure out what's happening to 4K. That's what's happening with 4K. Talked to you a little bit about the Portrait of a Graduate already. And the last thing is I'm getting some emails now about when do we know what our bus route is and where are the routes. Please understand, I had a really great meeting with the parents. Actually, our whole team had a meeting with a parent just yesterday, and to try to clarify, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of assumptions, there's a lot of thoughts, and it's really hard to get all those marbles sitting on the table at the same time. They're gonna fall off everywhere. We're doing our best to communicate that out. What needs to be understood is that the routes have not been rewritten in at least 15 years. Whenever that split happened, the routes were established, and it doesn't matter if a kid gets on it, no kids get on it, or 10 kids get on it. What we forget is that we rotate kids in houses and schools. And so the routes, if you're just picking them up based on the same routes that you've always chosen, well, that seems a little counterintuitive to what our population is. So Dousman is in charge of that. I know, man. Dousman is in charge of that. Dousman is mapping them out. We, Maureen, pulled the reports from scratch, gave them to Lisa Bird at Dousman. Lisa is running them through a brand new system, and we will have routes within the next week. So that's kind of where we're at, just as an update to this community, because I know that we're chomping at the bit. Also start and stop times. I don't think the bus company knows. I think it could wiggle between 5 and 10 minutes on either side of the start and stop. I think there's some great concern about, well, if the middle school lets out at 3:15 and we're sharing the bus with the middle schoolers, then what time are we leaving, north and south? It's looking like it's 3:40, 3:45, which isn't a stretch from where it is right now. Your kiddos will be home within 20 minutes. They're talking about which is way faster than they would be now. They wouldn't even be on their way home if it's 20 minutes from where they're at this year. But I will say that gap has caused some concern for people. So we're looking at trying to see if we can adjust that second route for our north and south families to have a little bit different time. But there is before and after school care, if that, typically it's the morning that people are gonna struggle with. So just reach out to Heather and Dave in their buildings and they'll be able to help you kind of get that all situated. We also are working with the daycare to try to provide extended time and more service because we anticipate that might fill sooner. So great things happening in the district. Again, kudos to this board and thank you for supporting the strategic plan that you put in place and the great work that our staff are doing. That is the end of my report.
Awesome, thanks Tina. All right, Director of Business Services.
Yeah, I don't know how I follow all that, but monthly finances, we ended the month of April in a really solid cash position, just north of 10 million. Operating checking ended the month right around 110. Operating savings at about 8.1 million. Capital improvement, with a little bit of interest that was added, is about 1.78. And the North Student Activity Account is about 12,000. And actually, the North Student Activity Account, I met with Cindy today, and that account should probably be renamed. It's really an intermediary account that we use, so that when we run our Square, like all of our payments through Square and things like that, we don't wanna have anybody get access to our operating accounts. So I'm probably, in the next finance report, I'm gonna rename it because it's really disingenuous to call it the North Student Activity Account because that's not accurate.
So it's not any money for the woods anymore?
Well, and that's where I'm gonna go.
Oh, sorry.
It is, but we're gonna get those separate. They're gonna go into Fund 10, but they're gonna be on our balance sheet in the appropriate spots. They're gonna go into our operating account, but on our books, it'll show exactly what the balances are for those different accounts. And Cindy's tracking down exactly how that about 12,000 needs to be made sure that it is appropriately accounted for. Ordering, purchasing pretty well slowed down. I mean, as we're beginning to kind of wrap up the year. PO, we've done already cut off POs. Obviously, there's still some ordering for operational things and building and grounds and a few things around each of the buildings. But it's really starting to trickle in instead of, kind of really flow in. Did anybody have any questions on anything as far as the monthly financials go? Okay, capital improvements. So, we have the same three that are coming down the pipeline. We've got a big paving project that's coming up here in June. That'll start promptly when school gets out. We're looking about a 2-week, 2.5 week window, that they're gonna be out and working at each site. But again, that's the biggest of the three. Dishwasher is last I've been told, it's ordered and it's en route. We're slated to have that installed before 7/1. And then lastly is the carpet at the South Library. We have plans to, as soon as school's out, to get books moved. I know there's some carts that have been lent to us by Elmbrook, so we're gonna be able to get the books out ASAP, get the carpet ripped out, and then they gotta do some work on the circulation desk, but yeah, we're gonna start properly as soon as we can get everything out. So that's the gist of those 3 capital improvements, all of which were budgeted for, all of which the bids came in within budget, actually under budget for many of them. Questions on anything capital improvement wise for the next month or so? Alright, food service. So I meet with Yvonne, our food service coordinator at Chartwell's, pretty monthly for sure, but oftentimes more frequently than that. When we look at food pricing, the USDA puts out guidance as far as what they see as far as commodity pricing. And she has some tools that Chartwell's uses, proprietary tools, to kind of do some forecasting. She brought a set of recommendations to me, we kind of talked through them. If you look at what I put together, everything's about 7 to 8% outside of the SNAC program, which hasn't seen increases in some time. So if you look specifics, let me just grab. I do wanna talk a little bit about North Shore breakfast at some point too, but it's really about, again, making sure Fund 50 is sustainable. This year, we were hit with considerable repair costs. And even without those repair costs, we're gonna be operating at a loss. We're gonna have to subsidize Fund 50. The goal is that Fund 50 is completely self-sustaining. Revenues support all of the operational expenses. And really that's the foundation of the recommendation as far as getting those prices up a little bit. We've obviously seen a fair bit of inflation over the last year and a half. And getting those to a point where they're kind of in line with what the USDA recommends and we can fully support all of our operational costs.
Quick question.
Yeah.
For when you say self-sustaining,
Yeah.
is that meant to include mechanicals and other things?
Yeah.
Or just
No,
expenses of?
It's supposed to be a self-sustaining fund, so when we have repair costs associated with food service, that's a cost of Fund 50.
So why would a dishwasher come out of Fund 10?
It's not,
That's coming out of.
but it's coming out of Fund 50, but because Fund 50 has no balance, it has to be subsidized by Fund 10.
Okay, so
It's-
so the whole food service program, Fund 50 should cover all of those things.
Should, that's how it's designed.
Wow.
Because the idea is Fund 10 is supposed to be purely for completing your educational mission, running your schools, supporting students, paying teachers, transportation, all of those general operating costs of running a school district outside of special education, Fund 50 for food service, and then Fund 80 for your community service fund.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why really if you're running a healthy food service Fund 50, you can operate and generate a small surplus because you can use that surplus when you need to as far as.
Well, you're kind of supposed to.
Didn't you guys use
I mean,
that?
eventually, a couple of years ago,
Well,
the balance was.
Too high.
If it gets too
If
big,
it
you
gets
actually
too
have to
high,
spend it.
it's like a tax haven, you're not supposed to try to
I
hide.
think that in COVID
That had
ties to as well,
that had
ESSER funds that we had to use.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's guidelines, they don't want you to have they don't want you to be operating a for-profit business out of your Fund 50. But like if you have $20,000 of surplus and you don't use it in that year, but next year you have $20,000 of increased costs, let's say you have to replace an oven or something. That's really what it's designed for. But no, you're not supposed to year over year just keep building up a stockpile.
So you get a $60,000 dishwasher, you better have a stockpile.
Well, yeah, but relative to the operating of that account, I mean, they don't want you to have $500,000 of Fund 50 profits sitting there.
Okay.
Because now you're diverting that from what it's actually supposed to be. And you're really not supposed to be making money off of food service program. It's really to support itself so you can continue to serve nutrition and provide those services when kids are here.
Does that fund limit expenses and spending similar to Fund 46, once funds are in?
No, Fund 46 is much more stringent. Because if you think of, the difference to think about that, Fund 46 has its own account. It's separate from everything else, not just the accounting is separate, that money actually gets separated. And it's only by act of the board can money go in or out. And it has to be in line with their capital plan. But it takes a board action to either add to or subtract from the balance of that fund.
How much do we get reimbursed for lunch?
I don't have that in front of me, but I can pull them for you and I can tell you exactly what it is.
I mean, I'm assuming that,
We make a claim every month. We get about $12,000 to $14,000 is our monthly claim typically.
it's double.
Yeah, breakfast is much smaller, obviously just because of the amount of food served at breakfast. Do you guys have specific questions on any of those recommendations?
Just a question on the collection. How are we doing on collection? I know a few years ago, there was a lax in collecting on those fees.
Yeah.
So where are we at today and what are we doing to ensure that those come in? Because you can raise the fees and if people don't pay,
Sure.
then you're good.
I know Maureen does send notices on any past due lunch accounts. We in the past, we had not sent anything to collections. We had largely used, well, if it's a fact of means, and people just don't have the ability to pay, we have largely used angel funds to cover those balances. We have been very, very lax though. I don't know exactly where the balances stand today. I can pull that and send it to you guys.
Is that outside of free and reduced?
Yes.
Yes.
Outside of free and reduced, and then on top of that, once they get to zero balance, like once they get to a zero, they're frozen. Kids can't continue, or we put that in place previously. I'm wondering, food service is still allowing them to charge. That's where I think our hiccup is.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
So I think I've seen ours go,
in the red.
yeah. So I pay it right away, it's just, I really see breakfast every once in a while. Put $100 every month, man,
Kids hungry.
kids are hungry.
Yeah, so that's where that catches. And I mean, in all due understanding, imagine being the child
Yeah, they
going
shouldn't
through
eat.
with their tray and they're like, sorry, you can't eat because mom or dad didn't put, that's a terrible position to put a child in.
Yeah.
So I
hope
think
we're
that's
not.
not a place that we would wanna put our kids. But at the same time, please just pay your bills. Please just put the money in the accounts if you're gonna utilize the program. We are no longer paying out this huge amount of money out of Fund 10 like we were my first year here. That's what you're referring
Yeah,
back
it
to.
is.
Yeah.
I'm
That
just
we're not
checking to
doing
see if
that.
we've maintained some of those checks and balances.
Maureen sends letters every single month.
Okay. And then there was something too where the à la carte goes away and there's like a
Yep.
fixed lunch or something.
Yeah, basically, the only way that, I believe the only way they can go negative is if it's on an actual meal purchase.
Which would make
You
sense.
can't go buy anything
Ice
from
cream.
the à la carte menu
Right.
if you are negative.
So
That's basically what I
if they show
understand.
up and balance is negative, mom and dad forgot, whatever happened, that's
Yeah.
fine. And they come up with 3 ice cream bars.
They will not be
"Oh,
able-"
sorry, you can come over here and have a
Yes.
sandwich.
Correct.
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
And then, and I think it might have been, I might be dating myself with the first year.
Yeah.
But I thought too that we had put something in place that if we had a negative fund balance, there was some other activities or something else that got frozen. Was that true? Did we do that
No, mm-mm.
to where?
But the
I'm
big
not aware
question
of it.
was whether or not we ever were gonna put it to collections. That was always the big question. And, there are various and sundry reasons why students have this. So this is why when we start to talk about these kinds of increases, hopefully it mitigates some of that action. I think too, parents don't know if their kid's going through the lunch line and kids don't tell their parents that they're going through the lunch line and they're hungry, right, at various ways. And so I think I can speak for the teachers when I say, every single one of them has a snack box or bucket or basket in their classroom for their students. And so I just think it's a matter of communicating, making sure that we have freedom within some fences, but at the same time, trying to balance that budget.
I see the maintenance tripled this year.
Yeah,
Is that an outlier?
it very much so. It's typically been right around that 12 to 15,000. This year we're right around 45.
And that's because the freezer went.
Yeah, well, we had
And spoilage.
Yeah, well, we had the whole fund itself it started off on the wrong foot. We had $10,000 in spoilage loss of food. On top of that, we had the repair costs for the freezer, and then we've had a number of issues, just mechanical odds and ends. We had to put that about $5,000 Band-Aid on a dishwasher that's gonna be replaced in 3 months. So there was a number of things that just were kind of very much anomalies. When I look back, I even look back and I'm like, how could I have budgeted for this different? But it was pretty consistent in that 10 to 15 range. More recently, 12 to 15 is kind of where, and that's where we budgeted 15 for it. And I think we're at about 44 right now.
And then with the increased costs, is that connected to a $15,000 budget for next year, or are we gonna maintain a larger budget for maintenance? Like are we gonna get ourselves in the situation where we are gonna be creating revenue off of food service?
I don't see that. I mean, if we had another $45,000 a year next year, we would be losing money in Fund 50 again. I haven't built the budget. When my current budget has another 15 in maintenance and mechanical breakdown stuff.
The other one that I think you wanted to talk about from the demo, or maybe it was a question I asked, was the North Elementary Snack Program.
Yeah, that has not.
That's separate, so if you could talk to that.
Yeah, that program, Yvonne and I did some digging. It hasn't been increased in about 6 or 7 years. And it's losing money in its present form. So, we priced it out per snack. It was like 67 cents a snack is what the new price is. Some of the snacks are a little bit more expensive.
67 cents more, or?
No, that's what
Okay.
what the new amounts would be.
It's still less than like a buck a day for
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
that's snack
Yeah.
a year.
I mean, and it's still not, I mean, if you look at it and you break it down, it's not an exorbitant amount. It's really just trying to cover the costs of buying prepackaged snacks.
Okay.
Did you say that one levels itself out, whereas the rest of them give you your 15,000?
Say that again?
So the snack program is basically self-sustaining.
Yeah,
and you get your 15 from the lunch program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can so if people are on free or reduced and are at North, do they get the snack?
That's a good question. I'll have to look into that. I'm not aware of exactly.
Yeah,
If
I mean,
snack
and
qualifies.
I also just wanna point out that the free and reduced lunch is not a high, or it's higher than you think it is, so a lot of people don't qualify that could still use it. So that's why the negative balances might be there too, are those in-between people
Yeah, they're on the fringe.
of, well, I don't qualify for free or reduced, but this is still a pretty big expense for me. So I might choose not to pay that bill this month, to pay another
Yeah.
bill.
Yeah, there's a group that's kind of caught in the middle there a little bit that still feels it. Again, the hope and the plan is that we don't have to divert Fund $10. That's really what we're trying to avoid.
Is that it for your?
That's it for as far as the food service pricing goes. Unless you have additional questions, I can answer.
Did you wanna talk about the North Shore breakfast after?
Yeah, so, well, probably, because we're not gonna make any, we're not gonna have any action on that. So if we wanna vote on this or
Yeah,
whatever
let's
we wanna
take
do.
this, we'll make look for a motion to approve this and then we can.
I'll motion to approve the food price increase as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the North Shore breakfast program, is, I ran some numbers after we met. We're losing about $4,500 a year serving breakfast at North Shore Middle School. On average, through this year, we've served on average 7 breakfasts per day.
That's so little.
7, yeah. I thought it was closer to 12 when we first, but when I actually dug in and had Yvonne pull the numbers for me, yeah, we're generating about $2,300 in actual revenue. This is for the, I extrapolated it out, if everything continued for the rest of the year, so for all our operating days for the year, we've got revenue of about $2,300, food costs are about $1,400, labor costs are about $5,200, estimated loss is about $4,500. So I talked to Yvonne, and I know there's a wellness component to this, so I don't necessarily just wanna make it about dollars and cents, but Yvonne, I started the conversation, right now they're doing like prepared breakfasts, like where we do have a lot of waste, because it's perishable, so if it's not consumed on the day of service, it gets pitched. So I asked her to come up with a plan, and we're gonna meet this next month to look at, are there alternatives that we can do that are more shelf stable, prepackaged, and not that we're just gonna serve trash, because obviously we still have to maintain a healthy offering, but things that we won't have as much spoilage, and we won't have as much labor, because right now,
You say that's the big part.
yeah, we have about an hour and a half of extra labor every day at about $30 per day. So that labor cost is about right about $5,500. So if we can minimize that and reduce some of the waste, I think it becomes, in my mind, I also don't wanna scrap it, because as we talked about at Finance Committee, school's gonna be starting even earlier. So maybe we see an uptick next year, so I don't know, maybe we do nothing and we see how the first quarter goes next year, and then we make a decision. I just wanted to put it on your radar.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
just
the
to be
latter
clear,
sort.
this is just here at North Shore.
Yeah,
It's not.
no, we've got much better participation at the other schools.
Which is so crazy.
Yeah. So,
I'd be curious if, kind of along the lines of how we were talking about a community input for the capital improvement, if there's maybe something we could do with a parent group of suggestions, or the kids, what may bring them to pick something up.
yeah,
Obviously not the sugary stuff.
no, I mean, it's
I
still,
get that, but like, hey, you have a choice between these things, what would you gravitate towards
Yeah.
more? And pull that into a lesson type.
sure, I think that sounds like a great idea.
Cause
But again,
I know that there are a lot of people, I believe you included, are very big into the nutrition of the
Yeah.
lunch. And I would love to see what they could bring to the table if that's something
Yeah,
they wanted to
the
do.
last thing I wanna do is just scrap breakfast, but I also wanna be cognizant of if we have something that's losing money year over year, that we at least have the discussion of what other options do we have?
I guess that was one of my thoughts too, Morgan, is kind of along that same lines, like, do we have to get snack through Chartwell's, or can we, or is that a lot, right? Like, what are we thinking about that? Cause I can imagine, when I subbed over at South, and the 4th graders were coming to the classroom and they had juice cups that were ice. And so they've got plastic forks and they're trying to get their juice cups, and their spoons are snapping and breaking everywhere, and it becomes slush, it becomes a bit of a mess, and so now everything's sticky, and then they end up just putting the juice cup in the sink, am I right? I mean, you're laughing, so you all know this. So it's, is there a way for us to do something a little bit more homegrown for that? And I don't know what the answer is, but that's something certainly that we can talk about and see if we've got any parents or families or people that would be willing to start to talk about what that might look like.
We don't have enough lettuce.
Not for like 28 days.
That's you guys.
We only have 7 of them. We can get lettuce for 7 kids.
Breakfast.
So again, it's a conversation we can continue to have, but I'll continue to update you, and then we can kind of see how we wanna proceed. But I am working with our food service director to figure out what other alternatives we have. We're not gonna make any changes this year, obviously, but for next year, we can talk
I
about
think you're
that.
right, the labor part of it's the big one.
Yeah,
It's not the spoil, because you said the total from cost like $1,500.
yeah,
So it's the labor
yeah,
cost, so if you can find an alternative to that, that's where you save money.
sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is Lakeside Academy. And I do wanna thank you guys for coming because I do think this is an important conversation. Over the last 3 weeks, I've met with Allison and Kaylani, who are directors over at the academy. And we looked at their budget. We kind of started to do some projections. To be quite honest, they're gonna finish this year with about a $25,000 surplus. And that is driven purely by staffing costs coming in at about close to 60,000 below budget. They have been extremely short-staffed. We have we have a director and assistant director over there. The idea is that they're not in classrooms regularly. They have been in classrooms every day to cover the fact that we're having a hard time filling and sustaining these positions. So 25,000 in the black, not bad, but it could have been much worse. When I look at the fund from last year, Fund 80 lost about $30,000 last year. So in 24-25, we were already subsidizing Fund 80. And it's just like Fund 50, it's a community service fund. It is designed to be completely self-sustaining. The idea is because it's for the broader community, it's not a benefit of all taxpayers or not the ability to benefit. The people that benefit pick and choose who's gonna take their kids to Lakeside Academy. The idea is that it's purely a self-sustaining fund. We started we started the conversation at about 15%. We ran some numbers, thought, you know what, I think 12% is probably the sweet spot of what do we really need to do to make sure that we're self-sustaining. I ran that last proposal at 9%. 9% covers costs if everything else goes to budget. You don't have any capital equipment that goes out. You don't have any needs. You don't have anybody that takes insurance that didn't otherwise take insurance in the past. Legitimately, if all of your costs come in at budget or below, you can sustain at 9%. In my opinion, prior to 24-25, there really should have been a closer look at this fund because it was already showing signs of weakness. On top of that, if you've read the news, KinderCare in Delafield just closed very, very abruptly. And it's for a lack of enrollment, which the center is seeing the same thing. They have their enrollments down from a year ago. And just like a school, just because you lose a kid or two out of each room doesn't mean we can cut staff. Doesn't mean that our operating expenses, I mean, the lights still gotta come on, you gotta still pay the bills, you pay the facility costs to the district. All of those things remain constant where revenues start to drop. Then you start to put yourself into a pickle. I don't recommend a 9, 12, or 15%. I understand the strain it puts on families. My goal in all of this, in recommending what I'm recommending, is simply sustainability of the facility. I wanna make sure that it's there going forward, because if we're not good stewards, it's something that if it's costing the district year over year, it's not sustainable. And secondly, I just wanna make sure that it can cover its own costs. That we're not diverting Fund 10 dollars to cover operational costs for the community service fund. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or provide any context that I have, or I can go back and gather more information. You guys just tell me what you need to make a decision.
What's current enrollment and what's full capacity?
I wish I could tell you, my computer just died.
Let me,
I sent it to you, yeah.
I wanna say max was 52,
That sounds right.
cause that was on the license that we
Yep,
checked,
that sounds right.
the 3-star rating, thanks to one of the emails. And of course, my computer is being weird. I wanna say you said September numbers were going up to, okay. So right now for summer enrollment is a max of 40 on 2 days, and then it drops to 31 on Fridays.
Now, that's the number that are enrolled, that's not the number we can have, we can have up to 52.
52 is max
Mhm.
for the center at all times.
Yep.
I don't like Google Sheets, I don't. And then September, it looks like we go up to 48 high and a 39 low. So it looks like Fridays just really dip.
Yeah.
So we have space for like 4 kids on Mondays, and then it just drops
Steadily.
throughout the week.
Mhm.
But is that with the change of the scheduling that you were discussing, the 2, 3, 4, 5?
You mean the summer program?
No, you were saying something about how part-time is hard to do because of spots.
Well, yeah.
And we were grandfathering
In the past, they were charging, you could take your kid there for 6 hours a day and that was considered part-time. I talked to them and I said, well, is it truly part-time if you can't enroll anybody else on like, part-time to me would indicate like AM or PM, like where you could bring in you could have a seat in the afternoon or you could have a seat in the morning. So we were collecting part-time revenue, but really tying up that seat for the entirety of the day.
And that's changed, though.
Yeah,
Well, there wasn't that many.
no, there's only 2 families that use it. And like, we talked, we're like, we'll grandfather them in and let them continue to utilize it the way they're utilizing it. But it doesn't make sense because you're really getting pretty much full-time care because of the capacity of the daycare is pretty much taken up if you're using 6 hours.
But we're still gonna offer 2 days or 3 days or 4 days.
Everything that's on the,
Okay.
yeah.
So there,
Sorry, go ahead, no, go ahead.
so with our current enrollment and the 9%, that gets us back to 0.
Yeah, based on if there's no overtime, there's nobody takes insurance that hasn't otherwise taken insurance, cause there's a couple people that are eligible that don't currently take it. I mean, and I know people have asked, what have you done to mitigate costs? Well, we try to hire more part-timers. That's really what it is, because if we hire more part-timers, if you try to hire 2 part-timers instead of 1 full-timer, you can get away without paying benefits, which is, I mean, significantly cheaper. It's hard to find reliable part-time help. That's really what we've offered. They had 2 go do fingerprints and then just no show.
Jeez.
Yeah, gone through the whole interview process, accepted, didn't show up.
What's the current cost for hiring new teachers?
What's like,
Recruitment, onboarding,
I mean, it's hard to quantify, I mean,
cause you put an ad out, which is something, and then you
Yeah,
gotta go
I-
through
well,
a
no,
background
we-
check, and you've got a couple pieces there of advertising.
yeah, we can, you know, we use Weekend, which is the pretty standard platform for hiring anything educational. We don't pay a ton for background checks, I think it's like $18 a background check, $12 a background check, somewhere right in there. Yeah, and there's a cost to bringing in new educators because there's mentorship. Fortunately, we use a grant for our mentor program. But yeah, there's always costs. How do you quantify those? A little harder in education because you can't really look at productivity like you can like in some other instances or some other industries. But there's a definite cost, it's just a matter of trying to drill it down.
Cause you have open vacancies, sometimes you have to bring in substitutes as you bring in and figure out these, so there's some sort of cost that kind of built into it.
Yeah, well,
And-
depending on when someone leaves, I mean,
Right.
when you have contracted employees, typically you don't have a ton that leave mid-year.
Right.
Unless they're leaving, because they're asked to leave.
Cause I'm just trying to figure out the mitigation, obviously there's direct cost here, there's some indirect costs in different areas that come into it too, so if you're looking at a positive or let's say district benefit. What other areas is it saving from, or what costs does it save us from down the road? So if it's 5,000 to hire an employee, sometimes in some places that's what it looks like by the time you're all said and done. Does that make sense to work at a level or at an increase on what's there for? The benefit, what's the benefit supposed to be for? So I'm just trying to lay those numbers as we go through, so that's what I was asking.
Yeah, I get it, it's just hard to quantify.
What income or what change is the summer change bringing in? So for those that
Yeah,
aren't.
if you look at, can you tell me how many, I can tell you right now, how many teacher students we have?
16.
No,
No.
it's somewhat different.
10 district kids and 3 staff, LA staff.
Yeah,
So is that 13?
well, it would be 10.
Okay.
Because
And
center staff work full year round, so their kids are gonna continue to need care.
so,
So it would depend exactly, I don't have it right in front of me, but we built in that amount into our revenue projection. I can send it to you in an email, but I don't have it right in front of me.
yeah, just because my issue is that I ran, so the current model right now for under 2 full-time, and I assumed 38 weeks for a school week.
Yeah.
Because there's 40 weeks between September or August 24th to June 4th, 4 weeks of vacation for kids, but then the daycare only gives 2 weeks. So 38 is what I just assumed.
Sure.
At the under 2 as $345 a week, so that's $13,110. Plus then a week to hold the spot over summer that we used to do. So that's $13,455. Then in March, we changed it to, $13,110. Then there's 3 different options. One is maintain your full-time status, so that would be $37.95 added.
Yeah.
Option 2 would be 50% weekly, which would be $18.95 added. Or option 3 is part-time, and I went to.
It's 50%, you pay 50% for option 2 or 3.
Okay, well, okay.
It's like saying you could pay part-time, but if you still wanna utilize, you can utilize it up to part-time. We're not saying you
Okay, then
just have to
I
pay and get nothing, you could still use it.
miscalculated that one. So
Yep.
either way, we're increasing just under 2,000 or just under 4,000 already without
Yeah.
this price increase. And that's on 10 kids, correct?
Mhm.
And then, so then in September, it looks like we're getting 6 more district kids in,
Yeah, there's some that don't attend in the summer.
like babies and
Yep.
stuff, which is great. And it looks like from the 10 that I'm seeing, we have 3 in infant. So would that reduce, what is the ratio for infants? Sorry, I should have asked this a long time ago,
I don't
and I
know.
apologize.
Childcare is not my wheelhouse.
I know 0 to 2 is 1, and then 2 and up is 4. Okay, so we wouldn't, yeah, actually you would. Except for Monday mornings, you'd have 5 babies. Whatever. But it looks like the 10 are infant, 1s, and 3. So they're actually all in the same room. So if those kiddos left for the summer and they didn't pay, would we be able to lower costs? Because they are in one room. Grouped like that.
If they left.
Like we used to do for summer, you don't have to pay, you don't have to come.
Okay.
But you still got your spot in September.
Yeah.
So those 11 weeks of summer, we're not getting revenue for those 10 kids.
Sure.
Would we then save costs?
Can you lay off a teacher in the summer? Can you? I don't know.
Well, I
Maybe.
feel like we do, because I know that there's some that aren't,
Oh, there's
or
some
they
that voluntarily,
reduce-
yeah.
or they reduce their times, or we get summer college,
Yeah, one, there's one girl
girls
that
coming
comes
in.
back, yep,
um,
they have one that comes.
okay. So I don't know, I'm interested to see what that is gonna do, like, without doing an increase, but you're still doing that summer, how much of a loss are you then saying?
Well, based on those numbers, we would probably lose about $30,000.
Okay.
Probably closer to 38. Based on the budget that we built out, Kaylani, Allison and myself sat down and compared it year over year, kind of looking at increase for snack, increase for supply costs, all of those things built in.
Because we also don't do, we don't
We do
provide
not do
lunch,
lunch.
but we do pretty substantial snacks.
They do, yeah.
Morning and afternoon.
Yeah.
Just kind of trying to lay it out for everyone else that may not know it. So of those 10 district kids, how many, are those 10 families or 10 kids?
There's 12 families, 16, from what Allison gave me the data, there's 12 educators that work within our district, and of those 12 educators, there's 16 children that attend the center.
Okay.
So I wanna go a little higher level with you.
Sure.
The details I'm lost listening,
Yeah.
so I'm
Okay.
sorry. Thank you, first of all, for putting it all together.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work. And thank you everyone who stayed, appreciate it very much for listening. And I know you're at a big disadvantage because you don't have your computer.
Yeah.
See what's up at the upper computer.
Yeah.
The difference between, say, the 12% and either 9 or 7. Do you have a rough dollar figure of what that would be?
Yeah, hold on 1 second. I had a budget here.
And again, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, I know
No,
your
no.
computer's down.
All right here.
I will say this to the board, because sometimes we get a little confused in this while you take a look at
Yeah.
that. Oftentimes when we have these decisions, it's like, gosh, I feel pressure to make a decision right now, and we're trying to come up with all of these answers. And so, yes, it's important to make decisions when they're on the agenda, but I don't want us to get into a place where we're just frantically trying to make a decision just to make a decision. The caution on this piece is exactly what Colb said, like, we're trying to summer plan and figure some things out. We've got some things going on with community members trying to figure out what their plan is. We put this off until June, whatever June meeting is, 15th or something, June 15th, right? Then that's a different deadline. So understanding that we went through a transition, I think some things were found without being completely open on some things. I think we're trying to figure out what this budget looks like, what it all means. I want you to make sure that you're comfortable making a decision on something, and if you're not, then maybe we hold, we ask the questions, we get the information to you, you have some time to think about it, and we come back and do just a quick virtual emergency meeting, like we do, like to make a decision that
Well, we
impacts the
wouldn't-
budget or whatever.
We wouldn't even have to do an emergency meeting. I mean, there's nothing that says rates have to change in July. I mean, that's just our fiscal year. That's what we've done. That when I talked to Allison and Kaylani, they said that's would make the most sense for their budget, because then you have one rate through the entire year. But there's nothing binding that says we have to do it in July versus August versus September. That's the first and foremost. To answer your question, when I said it would be about 38, it's 38,850.
What's
That's
that
the,
number
that's the
you're saying?
3%,
That's the 3%.
yeah.
That's
That's
the
Between.
That's the difference between 9 and 12,
38.
38,850.
Wow, I didn't expect that, okay.
Yeah, so,
That's revenue coming in?
that's so right
That's not a
now,
loss, that's the revenue coming in.
that would be the decrease in revenue, which would put us in the red by about 35,000.
Can you repeat that?
So right now, the budget that we have built operates a surplus of about 8,000. So it's pretty thin. if we went to 9%, we would be at 38,000 less than that, 38,850. So when we talked, we were like, at 9%, we could probably make this work. We'd have to modify some supply budgets, probably limit some things that they can order a little bit tighter. Instead of having some of those inflationary increases for supplies, keep some of those budgets static, and we can make the 9% work. But if we went as budgeted when we left that meeting, we're about 35,000 in the negative. Because we have total expenses budgeted about 1.285 and revenue budgeted about 1.296. So there's not a lot of fat in the budget.
And just to confirm then that those funds that would be short would come from Fund 10, which are designated educational dollars as differentiated from Community Service Fund 50.
Yeah, so we don't levy any, because you can levy a Fund 80 tax.
Correct.
We don't levy any Fund 80 tax.
But that would be truly for full community service.
No, this is truly, I mean, anybody can use the center.
But it's an optional service.
It's an optional service, but it's open to anybody.
Correct.
Yeah, but it's not like a.
It's not like an SRO that
or a rec center where everybody can come in and use a weight room or a pool or something like that. Yeah, you're correct.
So 2 years ago, we were -30.
-30, yep.
This year we're +28.
Yeah. Purely because we were way under on staffing costs.
So that +28 goes into this year, so if you look at the 30-some, if it was this year alone, it's not that 30 that you're gonna be, because you have a surplus coming in.
Yeah.
So we could hold off on a rate increase and still be
Or reduce.
fairly, yeah.
If you didn't do a rate increase, things become very bleak.
But that 9%.
Of some sort.
But that 9% is more back to zero than it is as a loss.
Exactly.
But in the future, that's
As
going
far as
to-
a fund goes, not,
Right,
yeah,
it's
you're
fund.
over, you're correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you anticipate, Patrick, like on an ongoing basis? Do you see this as an inflationary
I see,
future-facing increase, or do you see, no, this aspect of service is probably at a higher than inflationary, it's probably at a 5% annual? Just, do you have a gut?
two things. From when I look back, we should have done when we did small incremental raises, we should have done slightly larger incremental raises. So if we did 3%, we should have done 5. Because in my opinion, this is a catch-up. I don't see it's gonna be 12% this year or 9% this year and then 8% next year and 8%. No, we need to get back to level so that we can start to actually make smaller 4 to 5% increases so we can sustain. And just like we were hit with 15.5% increase on healthcare, Fund 80's hit with those same costs. So.
Thank you for fielding all these questions.
Yeah, no,
We're hitting you with a lot.
And it's
I don't, it gives me, I just want everybody to know, it gives me no pleasure to recommend increases. My job is to make sure those funds can sustain themselves. And that's really the crux of it all.
So if I asked the question, Lakeside Academy is what for the district?
It's what makes us different. And I'll be very frank, Tina and I have talked, like, what is this district, what does it look like without Lakeside Academy? I don't wanna lose it because there's many school districts that don't have that. It's one of the things, it's one of those pieces that makes us different. I mean, there's other things that make Lakeside Academy and Hartland-Lakeside great, but it's just one of those things that, like, hey, there's a lot of districts that don't have it, so that want it. We've been contacted by Watertown by a couple other districts, like, hey, can we take a look at your operation? We're thinking of doing something similar. So, and not that comparing rates is the be all and end all for value, but I would be a lot more, not cautious, because I'm always cautious, I'm always conservative, but when I look at it and I'm saying, well, we're the lowest, which is okay, we're not here to make a profit. But if these rate increases pushed us into the middle or even upper tier, I would definitely have cause for concern and say, is this a cost problem? I don't think it's a cost problem. I think it's the fact that the dynamics of running a daycare are expensive and the costs are increasing.
Do we take any subsidies, like if people can't afford?
I would have to ask Allison.
I'm just curious what that
Yeah.
level is, and because I also know that another benefit is kids that are there may need early childhood intervention.
Yeah, I think so.
And how does that get factored into the costs/moving of those funds?
Well, that's all Fund $27.
Okay, even if it's at the daycare?
Yep, they will go on
Okay.
site, yeah, that's not a cost of the daycare center.
Okay,
Those are Fund 27 special education funds.
okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. I mean,
Yep.
because I know that's a huge,
Yeah, the early
that's a
intervention, yep.
huge selling point to that daycare is our 3K program works so closely with our 4K and all that. And then also because it is a benefit for our teachers to be so close, and I know like a lot of them have said that the time crunch in the morning is extremely difficult.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I don't.
Can I just ask about wraparound care?
Oh, yeah, that's not in here at all. So that's different?
We had talked about wraparound care and taking the same 12% and applying it. That's what we had talked about when we met for budget. It's not specifically listed in here because I don't really know why we didn't put it on there.
But would it be?
It would be 12% across the board because we're looking at, when the way I have revenue broke down, I applied a 12% factor to 4K wrap before and after, infant to 3K and 5K to 5th.
And
That's where the revenue number.
all in Fund 80.
Everything is, yeah, all of those operations are.
So that does increase its community reach for those that are concerned about equitable and how many people are affected by it. Not just the 52
No, you're right.
kiddos at
No,
daycare,
it's-
there's
anybody
a
who
lot
they,
more.
anybody who they serve in any one of those 3 programs.
I completely forgot about RIA.
Yeah. RAP's definitely the smallest of our 3 programs.
The
Revenue wise, not student wise, but I mean, the infant to 3K program is about twice as big as the other 2. It's a significant driver of revenue.
I'd like to put a motion out on the table, if that's okay?
Yeah.
I'd like to motion to table this till next month so that we can get more information on RAP numbers. But I hate that, the contracts.
What about modifying that and making a motion to push but approve before June 15th?
Yeah, that's fine by me.
From a governance standpoint,
No,
we have
I-
to change some things.
Yes,
There's a
I second
motion-
his-
There's a motion on the table that didn't get approved, so that motion died. Now it's back open and someone can make another motion.
I would motion to defer a decision tonight, but ensure that a decision is made by June 10th. I don't know that either.
I'll second that.
Let me make sure I have it. So you motion to defer the decision to no later than June
10th.
10th?
I don't know.
And Matt, you seconded it? Sorry, Mr. President.
Which means that would.
No, I always call
These
Madam
special-
Chair or
you know.
Madam President.
But it would be like a, whatever. I don't care. It deserves it. It deserves more time.
I would ask, You guys already voted, right?
No, we haven't voted, I
sorry.
think
We're in
it's
the
discussion
discussion
now.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I guess I just wanna understand what this, when does this happen and what happens between then and now and.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
So since there's a motion on the floor, I have a clarifying question. Is there, the specific timeline is not, it's not required, it would just make budgeting easier, correct?
Yeah, we can, I mean, we can institute a rate increase, like I said, we could do it in July, we could do it in August, we could do it,
Alright, so from
we
a
could do it in
time,
January if you want.
we have it.
So I guess June 10th isn't a big deal.
Well, it is.
Well,
It's a
but no,
courtesy.
It's a courtesy,
yeah.
These guys gotta make a decision, if somebody's really considering, I'm not gonna come back to Hartland-Lakeside because of this tuition increase, you know, it's just gonna be worse if they come back and then you hit them with a 12% in September instead of July. I mean, it doesn't really solve their problem.
Yeah, we wanna have as much clarity as we can.
So that was my question for you. My second question then is for the other members of the board. Does anyone feel like there's a lack of information that's needed?
Yeah, I don't have any of the wraparound numbers.
But according to what, if I heard Patrick correctly, the budget and the increase is across everything.
Yeah.
And then if that number slides, it affects all of that too. So
Right,
whether that number is 10 or 100, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't know how it affects anything, because the budget's as a whole, unless I'm missing something.
No, you're correct.
Okay, that just clarified it for me too.
Yeah, the 12% was applied to all three of the programs at that same 12% rate.
Yeah, I mean, I guess more time's not gonna help, per se, but.
I mean, you could,
I mean, the more times that people feel like they need to sleep on it based upon everything they heard today. I mean, the question is, I don't wanna get to, we push it, we all hop on a Zoom next Thursday and we have 5 million questions for Patrick and we're afraid to make a decision, right? It's like, I'm fine jumping back in. It's gonna be a hard decision whenever we make it.
very difficult.
I feel for the teachers. My wife was a full-time teacher until we had the third kid, and it didn't financially make sense to have 3 kids in daycare, so she quit working, and that was a loss to the teacher profession, in my opinion.
You're a good husband.
That's kinda how, that's the world we live in. So I feel for it. I also feel that it's tough for us to justify to the community that the community's sponsoring, yes, there's 16 kids in it, but that means there's 30 non-school teacher kids who we are subsidizing their daycare for as well, if we are paying for it, right? When Patrick when I first read this memo, I misread your memo, and I thought we were 35,000 in the hole. I didn't even realize we were been 30,000 in the hole before, and it's like, if we can't sustain this thing, like, you guys are great with education, you guys are great with all this stuff, you guys, nobody here went to school to learn to run a daycare. We didn't hire anybody who knows how to run a daycare, we're doing this great service, but if we can't sustain it, it's a pretty hard ask to the taxpayers to cover it, right? So I see both sides of the coin, and it's a very difficult decision, so I appreciate if we need some time on it, and maybe we all do. But I don't, it's not gonna be an easier decision next Monday or Thursday than it is tonight, but I totally appreciate it if people wanna think about it, and clearly Morgan's dove into the numbers a lot, and has a lot of stuff around it, and maybe there's stuff, I didn't follow all the numbers as you were doing them either, but maybe there's something that if you got, or you share some of that too, is helpful.
I mean, I guess I'm more looking at it, yes, it's 10 teachers, 10 children that the teachers, but I also see that as a benefit or an incentive to the teachers because they're only getting a 2.63% raise. That's not keeping up with the cost of inflation. How are we then supposed to expect these amazing teachers to want to stay when their wages aren't keeping up with expenses that we're imposing for them to work. Yes, I get they don't have to use our daycare, but they're gonna have to go somewhere else because they have kids. And we don't wanna lose them.
But we're also providing the cheapest daycare option.
Right, but we're also a 3-star daycare and a lot of these were not 3-star and they serve lunch, we don't. So there are not apples to apples per
What's the
se.
star thing you're talking about?
It is I think it's there's different levels that you can hit.
It's like accreditation.
Yeah, 3 is great, 3 is good.
I think it's out of 5, right?
Yeah, Lake Country Childcare right over here on North Shore is a 3-star. I don't know what their rates are. Grandma's House is a 5-star, that's the big popular one downtown. There wasn't much else in Heartland.
Well, KinderCare was in
Yeah.
Delafield, which is closed, but yeah, that's why we were like, well, how far do we look?
Right.
Outside of our core area.
I mean, I understand that we have to be fiscally responsible and I'm obviously putting that into it too, but this is also part of the retaining good quality educators that we want for our children. And are we willing to give that up? Do we know how many 4K, because 4K wrap is a whole different ballgame, because that's half day. Then you would also pay for wrap extended care,
You can, yeah.
and how many are teachers, and not that matter, well, I guess it does, but doesn't. I just feel like there's so many increase that we're asking of these one population. That is an average of like $67,000 salary. So do what you will.
Well, can you reread the motion that's out there, Chris? And
Sure. Martin motion to defer the decision to no later than June 10th, and Mr. McNulty seconded.
That's it. We're done with the discussion. We should vote. Kind of else. I mean, do we have more discussion? Do we have more discussion?
I agree.
My only discussion, I think it should run at a net, so that's where I kind of sit with it. It should be a benefit, but it shouldn't be a loss to the district as it goes to, I don't know about a profit center, but running it at that net zero.
That's where I'm at too. My thoughts on the motion on the table are, I would recommend voting no for it and then taking a possible vote this evening for a decision, just to get something made, unless there is information that people don't have that would affect their decision. I think we owe it to the community and to get people answers as soon as possible. Again, unless there's critical information that could potentially change your decision, I don't think it's responsible to just wait. Again, unless there's tangible information. So I would suggest voting no.
I don't have an issue waiting. I just don't. But if we vote to wait, you know,
Yeah.
people need to get their questions to Patrick, I mean, now, and it needs to happen pretty quickly. I do, this topic other than transportation, has gotten the most email traffic of anything that we've had recently. I imagine there's a number of people tuning in who won't pay attention to the next Zoom, but I also understand that a lot of people had a lot of questions tonight and there's a lot to take in, so I should vote how they feel. As you should with every vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
So 3-2, pass.
Fail. I think he said no.
Yeah.
You were opposed?
Yep.
Morgan, Schwab and I were in favor.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear your
Yeah.
A, I, whatever.
Now that you had a vote, I would ask that, I am out of the office tomorrow and Friday. I will be on a boat in Lake Erie. But send me your questions, specific as you can, and I will provide you whatever I can.
Can I ask that you send the answers to the board?
Absolutely.
The whole board, not just the independent members?
Yeah.
As long as the board recalls that they can't respond to that full
Correct.
message.
Correct.
Send your individual questions to Patrick and then he will put them together.
Thank you. It just saves you a bunch of emails from different people too.
Yeah, what I'll probably do is, if it's okay with all, you guys use Google Docs at all? I'm just gonna create a Google Doc. And I don't know if some of you guys don't use them or not.
I don't.
No, you can't do that, it
Okay.
can be done in email.
Okay, but I'll do an email.
It creates a form.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're right. Even if they're not writing, right?
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
Then I'll just respond to the full board with whatever questions you guys have.
That's good. Alright, moving forward, I do
Should
not.
we set the, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Should we set the date for them for
Yeah.
that meeting? Let's
Yeah.
do that now, so that at least you know kind of where
I
you're at.
mean, I'd rather get it done sooner rather than later, I just don't know how much time we need. Because again, I wanna be respectful.
Yeah.
And I understand that we can also vote.
We
No,
can
'cause
vote,
we
we can
ju-
vote whatever we want.
We just voted to not make a decision tonight, so we can't now go back and say, just kidding. I want a
We can do-
motion to
we can
say,
Yes, you can. You do whatever
It
we
just
want
has
to
to be
do.
someone who
It's on the
voted
agenda,
yes,
it's on the
has
agenda,
put
I would
their-
assume we can
Chris,
reopen it if you wanna reopen it.
Chris and I cannot, one of the yes members can.
so I could motion to say,
I think you can,
I want a motion to
You'd like to-
approve a 2% rate, increase and call it a day.
I don't think you could, I don't think
Because
you could
it's
make
before
another
June
motion
10th.
on top of this one now.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
I think you'd have to, Chris, help me, I think you and I have talked about this once, you have to, it's not rescind your vote, it's you want to bring it back up and change your vote, and so it can come back.
I think
For discussion.
I think it's one of the majority that would have to make that motion.
I'll make a motion to rescind my vote on their motion to a no. And so basically, we are now back out to vote on this.
Chris, can you clarify what you said? That's it, when.
Somebody's, with my motion, somebody's got it, does anybody second?
No,
Or wait, do I,
Yeah, it would have to be.
do we need to, can we need to be this technical? Can we just like say, we're
Yes, we're a government body, we kind of have to.
Alright, so I will second. Schwab.
Okay, so we're back to 0?
No, we have to
No.
vote.
Now we have to.
No, sorry.
All in favor of Schwab rescinding his
No.
vote is what you need to say next.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
okay. Now we're back to 0? Okay,
Your motion, basically your motion failed to push
Correct.
this thing to some indefinite time before June, whatever.
I really only have one question. When you were discussing the wraparound, Chris, you made the question, or you made the statement about it being one budget. What did that mean?
So I had asked if there was anything outstanding that board members still needed to be able to make a decision. And Morgan said that she was looking for wraparound numbers. And I asked Patrick for clarification if the wraparound numbers, even if he doesn't know the fixed dollar amount, was considered as part of this total
Revenue.
approach to the childcare pricing, to which he said yes. So then to me, I thought, then there's not outstanding questions for anything financial. There might be internal struggles that someone has, and that's okay. And again, they can still vote to delay if they can sleep on it, that's okay.
Patrick, is the 1.296 revenue and 1.285 expense
That's right.
that you gave.
Mhm.
Include wraparound revenue.
Yes, so I'll read this to you.
Thank you.
Of the it's 1 million, excuse me, $1,295,360 is the projected revenue. Of that, the infant to 3K program constitutes $716,800. The 4K wrap, $238,560, and the 5K to 5th, $340,000 even.
That's the whole thing.
And that comprises the total.
And again, the suggestion is over the totality of the program.
Yes. Increase the revenue stream in its entirety by 12% was my calculation.
Thank you.
How many, are we at max capacity for 4K wrap?
This is 12% greater than one. Okay. Say that, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, it's my fault. Are we at max capacity for 4K wrap? Or projected, because I know we're saying lower wrap numbers, but are we looking at other alternative solutions that may then affect this budget number?
Not currently.
Okay, and it won't affect next year?
Well, I can't say it won't. It always could,
Right.
but I mean, it's a projection.
And 5K to 5th grade wrap is not full.
No.
But with the
So
start and end times, we may see an increase
Maybe.
there.
it's a possibility.
When is the last time the wrap numbers got updated? Tuition prices?
A year ago.
Okay, so it is every year that it gets.
Every year for the last 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a question, like why, all the pricing you shoot, I mean, you may not know the answers because it's just kind of conceptual, but all the information you showed that this is materially cheaper than the other 3 comps you showed us by like $100 a month at least.
It's a week. It's only a week.
So $400 a month.
This is weekly prices.
So why aren't we full? I'm just curious, like, you don't know.
That's a
We
good
are
question.
pretty
And
much
that's,
full though.
and that's what we're working,
Well,
when the new directors took over after Stacy left, Stacy had kind of really created the program from scratch. Part of what we tasked them with was being more proactive with, without getting your social media presence, being able to communicate to the community of the value we offer, the benefits we offer. They talked about the 3-star rating. They're currently working on getting it to a 4-star rating, because that is one of the things that families do look at.
I would just think some of that gap would be closed if we were at full capacity, but if we're not at full capacity.
We are also in conversation, or I should say, the director is in conversation with the licensing arm of this to see if we can get our cap raised as well, because the license is 6 years old. So we were trying to get that reevaluated to see if 52, if we can get 52 raised. I mean, that doesn't put more butts in seats, or more babies in the room, yeah, all of those are valid questions.
I guess my other question, fortunately, we can't have a back and forth with the teachers that are here, but I'm just curious that a lot of the emails we received mentioned, we've added this heart charge for the summer to hold your spot.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if it's not full, why do you need to pay the charge? Like,
Well,
We're only 4 off of max come September, though.
Yeah, you
that
could always,
Yeah.
there's always an option to withdraw your child and then Pending
So
capacity.
what I wanted to say though, is that
Pending
that's the
capacity.
concern is basically you lose your spot.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
Yeah.
and I mean, the reason that we put that in place is we looked far and wide. We can't find another center that does it. Because costs are fixed through the summer, if revenue just drops by 20% in the summertime, and your costs remain fixed largely, that's a recipe for a deficit on an annual basis. Or you have to charge enough the rest of the year to subsidize that.
All right, thank you. That's
And
all I
you're
got.
saying even with charging for the summer, we still need to increase the fees?
Based on our projections, yes.
And those numbers for September, is that,
Confirmed?
not confirmed? Like, is that steady throughout the school year then?
Is what steady?
We have 48.
No, as soon as it starts in September, it's pretty steady. Summer drops, summer's
Right.
lighter, but yeah, first semester and second semester are fairly close, wouldn't you say? I mean, that's what
It looks like we pick up like, this is so weird because Mondays are 52 now in January, Tuesdays are 47 compared to 42, 45 compared to 43, 44 to 41, 41 to 39.
So we're basically staying at capacity.
Yeah.
We have a couple.
Yeah, but that's only the infant care. That's not the wrap, which 4K wrap's at capacity, but 5K to 5th grade is not.
No.
And that's,
Is 4K through, sorry Morgan,
No,
I
you're
didn't
okay.
mean the question I have is, with our start and stop times, is there a question or concern or thought about not full wraparound care as we think about 4K needing an extra half day, but what is that, what do they call that, extended before and after care? So what is that 12%? Cause I would imagine, I'm just thinking that we're gonna have some families that are gonna wanna take advantage of that extended day. In the morning particularly, because they're middle school child and they're Arrowhead student.
middle school isn't, we don't have wrap or
No, I
extended
know,
care.
but if
But if
those,
middle
if
school
middle
starts
school,
earlier.
they start earlier and
And they're
it's like
normally around
45
10.
minutes, they're gonna need to take them to
Got it.
north or south and have somebody watch them because our staff aren't gonna get there to take care of them. So what's that half hour increase look like, or what is,
Yeah.
right, does that matter? And is that gonna be added revenue to the picture?
It could be,
Right.
it could be. And because
You can
just like
provide a lot of.
with any budget,
I know.
you're, well, I mean, I'm just gonna say it for the sake of
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
watching. You're always projecting. I mean, especially on the revenue side of things, because nothing's to say that you couldn't lose half of those kids through the year, like, or you could get 5 more kids through the year. That could happen. Based on what we've seen through the last year, I don't see that happening, and I wouldn't project that, but I'm always gonna project on the conservative side when it comes to revenue. That's just always. I think being aggressive on your revenue projections is a recipe for disaster.
Right.
From a financial context.
Someone else has to do it, I can't.
Anybody have do people, since we're just discussing, I'm willing to give people more time if they really feel they need it and it's gonna change their decision. If not, I feel like somebody needs to jump in with a proposal here, but I guess my first question is, do people feel like they need more time?
I guess
I personally don't. I only voted yes because I thought some people did and I wanted to give them that opportunity.
Same, and I was one of those, but the further discussion clarified everything that I needed.
And so correct, 9% was the break even.
Pretty close, yeah.
But the 9% break even is because of the carryover from the previous year.
Yeah, well, no, the way that we have the budget, it's in its current state, we would be losing money.
Sorry, we keep hitting you.
No, I'm just gonna be very clear, in the current state, there are some things that like this year, for instance, they have stopped ordering some things because their supply budgets are used up. Like, they just stopped because now, Does it hurt care? I don't think it hurts care. I don't think, and it's not a safety concern, it's none of that. The experience is largely the same. But they're doing more with less right now. And we can continue to try to make that work. That's the budget that we would have to divert to make 9%. And again, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But I also wanna be cognizant of, if we do 9% and then we come this time next year, I come to you and say, well, we gotta transfer 50 grand. And that could be a conversation, that could be. That's not a reason to vote one way or the other, because we could also come back and say, well, they made 40 grand.
And we're not gonna give that back.
Well, no,
I mean, we could, but we're not.
Well, in essence, you could, because if you realized that you made 40 grand, you could say, well, we're gonna forego a rate increase, or we're gonna do 2%. It doesn't help the here and now.
Right.
But you don't have a crystal ball.
I know.
I mean, my job would be exponentially easier, and actually anybody could do it then.
Yep, I know. I would like to propose that we don't do anything more than 5%, just because of what we did with the summer increase. And I understand that that's gonna be a loss, and I understand that people aren't gonna be happy, but I think we owe it to the teachers and the families there to not dump all of this because of past mistakes. I think we slowly get it up. I would even love to see not an increase until January 1st, since we just did a summer. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know what other people are thinking, but I am very much against a 9 to 12% increase right away.
What do we eat on that? Well, on the 5%?
Sorry, I just need a calculator, I don't need to be on my phone.
Good for it, that's why I asked.
Thanks.
If we didn't have the summer increase, I would totally go for the 9%.
The difference between 12% and 5% is 91,000.
I hate that, but
What's the difference between 9% and 5%?
91,000.
Did you say between 9 and 5 or 12 and 5?
But 9 and 5 would be, you said it was like 30,000.
Yeah, 9 and 5
would be,
would be 4% of 1.295, 360, we're at 52,000. That's the difference between doing 9% and 5%. So in essence, what that would mean is,
Forecasting 50,000.
I would be probably forecasting about a $50,000 shortfall at that point.
Look, I sympathize with the teacher's plight, but you do this too long, we gave, the teachers don't get paid enough, I 100% agree with that. We gave the teachers the max we are allowed to give under Wisconsin law.
I know.
You know, you run a -50 too long, you no longer give all our teachers these small raises that were allowed, and that's my concern.
I guess I would, if I could, I would just motion to approve the 9% raise to keep it going.
I think you're gonna lose people.
Was that a motion or a talking?
That was a motion,
So,
and then it could be talked if that could be.
so let me just make sure, you motioned to approve a 9% would-be childcare program, or?
We'll just say Lakeside Academy tuition.
I'll second. That
Discussion.
brings it to discussion, Morgan, it doesn't make the vote.
Yeah, I know. I just think it's,
I know, it's just you.
and it's not just the teachers either. We're charging $845 for busing for people that could use it. We're increasing lunch very minimally, I get it. We're increasing daycare for people that need it. We're increasing all of these costs that I don't know when we start to say enough is enough. And I get it, state funding is horrible, governmental funding is horrible. I just am at a loss of what to do, and it sucks, because I think we're gonna lose some really good educators because of this.
Is there any opportunity, any way that we could add a small tidbit into this?
You could talk, well, can they?
I know it's not supposed to be back and
I'm
forth.
the clerk. Legally, no.
I shouted it on my way out.
Yeah, I sympathize with everything you're saying as well, Morgan, but I mean, we're increasing to break even. I'd have a different stance if we were increasing to create revenue.
Patrick, out of curiosity, what is 1%? I'm sorry, I promise you I'm trying to ask really high questions.
130,000.
Yeah, roughly.
Nice math.
What would be a 9 to 8% difference is when I say 1%,
Yeah, it's 130.
it's
Just call it 130.
it's that much different.
Wait, but how is
No, that
12 to
doesn't make
9 only 30,000?
Oh, 1%, sorry.
No, he's trying to talk about a percent increase. Maybe you're thinking the same way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm willing to budget to a small loss in optimistic hope that we can get some air cover and do better. But I can't budget, I can't, the 5%, the $50,000 loss, I can't get behind that, and I'm sorry, and I know that bites everybody and it sucks. But it's also, you know, at some point, if this thing can't sustain, as you said, if this thing can't sustain itself, it just goes away. I mean, we can't. I get what you're saying, Morgan, all this stuff is adding up, but then you get to Arrowhead in 5 years where they're now firing the highest tenured teachers because of the highest cost people, and the town folks show up with pitchforks for 3 weeks, right? You know, it's like, it's a, I would swear, because I swear a lot, but it's a crappy situation, and it is, you know, if you're pissed off about it, if you're pissed off about the school, you know, vote, right? But this isn't a voting issue. I think a lot of people are pissed off about it on both sides if they're blue or red. But unfortunately, I don't think it's an issue people vote on. They vote on other things. So I think there's a lot. Yes, we can all blame the Republicans who've controlled the House and the Senate and all this stuff for years and years. I imagine there's plenty of Republicans out there who don't like the way schools are funded, but they don't vote that way because they have other issues that are more important. So until this becomes a bigger issue, you know, I don't know what the answer is, but I struggle with so my thinking, where I was gonna go, I know your motion's out there, so we're talking about it, whereas if you were going to somewhere like, could we budget to a 7.5% increase or an 8%, that's.
What I was asking for is the earlier point that Morgan made with the extra revenue from the unanticipated summer.
Help with that.
Where could we position it to where we roll the dice?
Probably a
With-
7.
Where we're close to, okay, that extra makes up for it. And even if we operate at a loss, well, we've got a little bit of black line.
Yeah.
Kind of covers. That's the number I'm looking for.
It's 7.
All right, then I'd like to make.
Well, we gotta, wait a second.
No, it did.
Yeah.
I seconded it. So right now, there's a motion on the floor, we're in the discussion period. So I would like to make a motion to amend the motion on the floor and change it from 9 to 7%.
I'd second that.
All right, give me just a minute to catch up. Thank you for your patience, I'm typing as fast as I can.
Clearly didn't take me to speak and teach us typing.
You're bragging about 100 words per minute.
I can, but I'm under pressure and trying to think. I was just sitting quietly. All right, so now it's seconded, now it's up for discussion. So the motion on the floor now is to amend the previous motion to approve a Lakeside tuition academy increase from 9 to 7. We're not saying yes or no, we're saying yes or no to the amended motion.
Any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion approves.
To amend. Now we have to do the motion to approve.
Oh, now we will need a motion to approve 7%.
Sorry, I'm in
Increase.
clerk duties, I'm still over here trying to.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now
I'll second
you
that.
just vote, so now, so as the clerk, I can read it for you. The motion, the active motion on the floor now that it's been amended is to approve a 7% Lakeside Tuition Academy increase.
Second. Do we need a second?
No,
So
we
that's-
already
that
seconded.
motion-
Yeah, I'm confused already.
That motion was already amended,
So
so
it's
now we have
discussion.
an action to vote on that amended motion.
And you can discuss it now if you want to.
If there's more discussion around that, correct, you can.
Can I say something? Am I able to in this portion? This is what I will say to this amendment and this decision-making. I actually do not envy you at all right now in this position because, you know, I did the same thing. I taught in the same school that I had my kids, and my kids went to before care and after care, and it is hard. And I was just saying to some of the staff this morning, when my kids were in daycare, it was $130 a week. It's a very different situation at this point in time. We came in here tonight and you were written up to, for the course of the last week and a half, on a 15% increase. You have essentially in this motion right now that you have on the table, reduced that by more than half. I would implore our people listening, sitting at the table, sitting in the room, to understand that is a huge shift from the very first message that went out on this. And I also want to protect and guard my district administrator here, who,
No, Patrick, you did awesome with all of this,
who's
and I
done a great
apologize for
job, but
throw this on you.
But on top of that is, I know, and just like it's been stated, I will say it, we are having to, we could turn our eye the other way and not correct these wrongdoings that Morgan, you have iterated out are problems. We're just here to, for lack of a better word, clean it up. I mean, we don't really have any choice. And in order for us not to be Lake Country, not to be Arrowhead, or not to be any of the other districts across this state who are cutting great teachers, who are making decisions that are killing their programs. Tonight you are proving by this motion alone that it matters. You're listening, you're paying attention. Whether you pass it or not, for you to have come down more than 50% says a lot about the character and the heart that you have as a board. And just as your superintendent, to work for you and to know that you're listening and tuning in, I appreciate that. So I just want you to know that.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
All right, motion carries.
Moving on to, okay, so I have an updated 6603 for a shared physical therapist that we share with 3 other districts. We have contacted the other districts, found out what their needs are, found out and updated the amount. Thank you. Updated the time, the percentage, how the costs will be shared, those are all updated in that document. A couple things that we have done that weren't done in the past. We're the fiscal agent, obviously, of the 6603. This is our employee that we share with others. In the past, we had eaten all of the costs for any of her paid time off, any of her professional development, any of her travel. That is changing with this new agreement. Costs will be shared based on the percentages of her time that's being used by each district. That was communicated out to all the other districts that we're partnering with. Not a huge shift, it's just we're gonna share her as the document states we should, so.
Thank you for.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Great job. I'd like to motion to approve the 6603 shared PT services agreement.
I'll second.
Before you guys leave, I just need signatures from you two.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, aye, sorry, yes, aye. Ooh,
Morgan, you seconded that, right?
Yep, I sure did. Almost didn't vote for it.
All right, board president report. Believe it or not, I don't have anything prepared.
What?
Just humbled by your nomination and support and trust, and I hope to do you all right along with the public. Future meetings, PPC.
Just for future action discussion, we had talked, I wrote it down as the capital improvement committee.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there for the next meeting or
Absolutely.
for that information.
For that, do we need to wait to next meeting? I mean, is that something that formal that has to happen that way, or could we?
Does it have to be on the agenda? The creation of a committee?
Let's put it on the agenda, but let's
Is
figure out
there
if
a
we're.
required
I just wonder
committee?
if we can't.
Sure that it was
It's
out
a-
there.
I don't
I guess
know,
there's not a
I'm not a board governance.
It's not a huge rush, I guess.
Me
right?
neither.
Right, I mean, it's one more committee, right, for you
What's your
all.
thought,
The
Brad?
only thought that I had is because when we first came on board, 3 years ago, we were writing our own policies from word by word. And so it was a lot to have, and so then we went through Neola, which was even more, but we're through Neola, and we don't really have a lot from that position, from a Neola position. So I'm wondering if we share the PPC committee with this community, whatever.
That's what I was wondering, if we couldn't have it start in a committee.
Can we go,
Wouldn't it be better in finance, building and grounds?
well, but the only question that I have with that is, we cover a lot in finance, building and grounds. And because the Neola.
I am not the best one to be on that
Well,
committee, I'm gonna tell you that right now. I can work numbers, but I don't know.
No, then maybe we keep a third.
I don't know, from the discussion we had, it seems like Haglund and McNulty might have the most knowledge.
Yeah, I feel like
I
those
don't
two
wanna
are
volunteer
definitely.
Haglund and
for something
McNulty, yeah,
that
that's where I was at too.
want
Yeah.
to.
Well, we can just, maybe you guys can just we'll just do a third committee.
Let's figure, I mean,
Alright,
like, do people who, like, let's just talk about it, who, like, does anybody have interest in the committee, wanna be on it? Like, I'd wanna have some input, like I'd have some thoughts from a financial perspective, but from just a
Financial's
straight,
the only
like,
thing I want.
understanding what Greg and the technical people, like, I outsource every single home improvement project
Hey,
in my house, so it's like, I feel
I
like.
mean,
My
you should be
husband
good
does
with contractors and getting your budget down.
I've probably gotten screwed by every contractor. Yes, the first guy that comes in, if he's nice and it seems okay, I don't even go for a second or third just because I don't wanna do it.
he shouldn't be on the
Just,
committee.
yes.
He's next.
So I know,
He's done.
This is not. So the taxpayer doesn't want me running the show.
I, just from my perspective, I think at least in this stages when we're updating a full 10-year plan, it deserves its own committee
okay.
at its own time.
Why don't we just think about if anybody wants to,
Yeah.
or if somebody wants to raise their hand now, but I finance should have some sort of
I don't know.
input on it, and it's like, I don't.
Forever?
Forever.
I'm not gonna have
But
anything to
in those
discuss.
early stages, it needs some time.
Yeah, we'll just put that on the agenda next
Perfect.
month, like, where, I mean, I'm doing a simple Google search.
I mean, I honestly do think there's probably some folks in the community who would have some level of interest in this, who would be willing to, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know how you do that, but.
And there may even be contractors that we work with that live in our district.
Sure.
That might be willing to come in. They have no voting rights, but they would be.
They're a resource.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't know, let's think about how we wanna do it, but
okay. So I'll put it on the agenda for,
I guess I feel like it's kind of urgent, but maybe it's not. We're walking into next year's fiscal plan, I don't know,
I think it's more important to get it right than do it quickly.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, we still need, like, the MEP contractors to give us exactly what's needed to be done,
Yes.
not the generic, you need to replace this.
Overall, yeah.
Exactly, so, I mean, it's urgent, but we're not gonna figure anything out over the next month.
Fair enough. Let's talk about it next.
Yeah.
PPC committee meeting June 11th at specified time. Chris?
I can't do daytime.
Yep.
I'm in Madison. So if you wanna do it, it has to be evening.
Can we not do virtual meetings? Would that be easier for you? So you wouldn't have to worry about your drive time?
Depends, I'm working.
Well, I mean, but instead of taking 2 hours off, or however long, because for me, like, I don't work at home, so I'm taking off from 8 to 10 for a finance meeting. But if I was at work, I'd really only have to take off 30 to 45 minutes instead of 2 hours.
Well, I'll offer if you ever wanna meet at 6:30.
No, I don't, ever. Oh, that wasn't for me,
What time on
sorry.
the 11th?
No.
Can you do 4:30?
I probably could.
Does that work for you?
Yep.
We will be going through a couple of new policies that have come through. One pertaining to grooming that we have to sign off on, so that one is coming, just so you guys know.
Is it a Neola?
Neola.
Yeah, they're all Neola policies, but Neola gave us the draft, we're working with him tomorrow, so I'll get that to you guys as soon as possible.
Thank you. So 4:30 Thursday,
June
June
11th.
11th. Thank you.
Finance?
I like those 8:30 meetings, but
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
what kind of day do we wanna do it?
Do a Tuesday? The 9th?
I can do Tuesday the 9th.
Yeah.
Great.
Say that again, I'm typing.
Tuesday, June 9th at 8:30 AM.
All right, we'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Patrick, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know that I
No.
threw so many questions at you, but it was once I started